Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next few hours, along with Mike.
Good morning.
And Spence is here.
I'm so good to be back.
And Bruce is here. We'll hear him.
Eventually we'll hear him.
Yeah. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on. What are you saying?
Oh. I was singing a good morning song, and you missed the part we're all on our places.
Oh, shoot. All right, go ahead and do it again.
The floor is all yours. Do it again.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you. We're all in our places with bright, shiny faces.
Okay.
Are we going to have milk and cookies next?
Cinnamon toast.
Today's show is being brought to you by that vidblast, the guy, Tom Sinclair, and is made possible by bamboozers.com. What a difference a day, a week makes. And good morning, Steve.
Good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 6th of the 10th, 2013. That's for that vidblaster guy, bloke, person.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. Oh, sheesh.
Did we say it was Sunday, October 6th?
Yeah, he did, in not so many words.
I did it in the British way. I did it 6th of the 10th, but I'm sure you would have deduced what I meant.
Of course.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Sorry I missed last week.
Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Merle. Everything is back to normal, huh?
A little hiccup here and there, and then, yes, it's just back into the same old routine. It's glorious, isn't it?
Hopefully it'll stay like that for a long time.
Well, I went and had the great pleasure of going to my 40th high school reunion. That's why I was away last week. I was up in New York. It was an absolute hoot.
You didn't dye your hair?
I did not dye my. There were people who did. There were guys with jet black hair. And you're like,
can you see Spence with black hair?
Well, I have pictures.
I don't know.
Almost black hair, but
I used to have hair.
But yeah, but there were some guys that were. One guy was there, had sat at our table. I was sitting with some friends, and guy came over and was looking for a place to sit with him and his wife, who was 20 years younger than him.
Way to go.
And he had, and she was the typical, well, I don't want to be cruel, just what you would think of well, does the word tart describe it? Just
the object of a midlife crisis, in the word.
Absolutely. It was like the Corvette and the wife. So
the Corvette wife. There you go.
That's it.
That's a very delicate way
the Corvette.
Convertible.
Corvette's a lot cheaper to run.
So it was pretty funny. And
I don't know about that, Steve.
But she didn't have the top down, did she?
Wives are quite expensive, so I heard.
But the very top was empty.
The very top.
Well, that's probably
after a couple of drinks, she had one of those cackling laughs that you get, everybody makes fun of on sitcoms.
You mean she was really funny,
really funny, isn't this something? Isn't it? I just can't believe I'm really here.
Like Valley.
Yeah. The penthouse suite was vacant, hey?
Well, I'll be nice. I won't say it.
She was one fry short of a Happy Meal.
That's it. Well, they were nice people. It was just going back to Long Island and not being immersed in Long Islandness for so long. It's hard to get back into first of all, the accent. I don't have any problem understanding people, but it just I can't believe I said I grew up in this.
Well, that wasn't your choice.
Oh, I know, but I mean, I go back and watch videotapes that I made with the kids when they were small, and I used to do the way I would do the camcorder was I would interview the kids when they were doing something, and I'd ask them questions, and I'd try to make make jokes and things like that. So I hear myself speaking, and I'm like, that's me?
Long Island. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
So what's the difference between Long Islandness and Queenness? I'm wondering.
Well, Long Island contains Queens,
Okay.
but Queens is Queens is not all of Long Island.
Okay.
So you can go out east on the island, and you're out of the city into Nassau and Suffolk counties, and that's what used to be farmland and pretty pleasant has now been invaded by people from the city.
Mm-hmm.
See what Andrew put in the chat? How it's pronounced?
Yeah, Long Island.
Long Island. Long Island.
Yeah, we just take the subway, or you get the subway out, you get the Long Island Railroad, and you take it out to the Hamptons.
To the Hamptons? Did you say the Hamptons?
You go to the Starbucks and get some coffee.
And Bruce, you've been out of touch, out of sight, out of connectivity for a week now.
Oh, I've been connected, just not where I've normally connected. I was in Atlanta for a conference called Catalyst, and I do want to report. I mentioned this, I think, on last week's show. I powered our whole booth with a Chromebook. Everything went fantastic. I brought my little Netgear router, created a little hotspot, Cat5 from router into the Chromebook using a little dongle with a Cat5 connector on the end. And it ran flawlessly all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday. Not a glitch, never dropped a connection. Great 1080p video for the videos I was showing, demoing our website, going from one tab to the other. And, man, such a small footprint. I just opened this thing up behind this 39-inch Vizio TV. You didn't even know it was back there. I did a video and posted it on the Chromebook forum and Google Plus just to show them the setup and everything. I was HDMI'd out of the Chromebook directly into the TV. It was good. And I fly out at 2:01 today to go down to Florida for to our home office and then piggyback a week of vacation on that.
What processor does the Chromebook?
It has an ARM processor, 64-bit ARM processor.
Interesting.
Yep.
There's a Chromebook in the specials today that has a, let's see, what is this thing called? Xenos processor? Xenos 5?
Xenos. Mm-hmm.
Xenos 5 processor. Is that the one you're talking about? The ARM processor?
No, I don't believe so. Mine's a Samsung Series 3. There are a lot of new Chromebooks that have been announced and are coming out that will have the Haswell processor in it, which is going to be amazing battery life. What I like about the Samsung, the form factor, it's small, thin, and light. Has the best battery life of any Chromebook. But it does have an ARM processor, so I am running Ubuntu on it, but not all of the Linux programs have been compiled for the ARM processor. So like I can't put a version of Skype on it or anything else like that. But I have Audacity on it. I have VLC on it. I have LibreOffice, so I can take my Chromebook and I can run a full Office suite. And it's just a 4-keyboard shortcut. Just as fast as I can press that right arrow, I can go back and forth between Chrome OS and Ubuntu.
So it doesn't run Windows?
No.
Oh.
Thank goodness.
Where is it?
Where is the Chromebook?
Yeah.
It's packed in my.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today they've got the one they've got on sale is a Samsung 11.6-inch Chromebook, $249.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because yesterday, Kathy finally figured out how to use the Chromecast, and the netbook that she's using, which is an old Gateway, probably about 4 or 5 years. It works, but not every time. So she started looking at tablets, and she's asking me, and I said, honey, I don't know much about the tablets because I don't have one. But she was comparing the Nook to the iPad. And she was saying that most of the features are the same, except, I don't know, a couple of things that were not really important. But I thought the Nook was for reading books. Am I wrong?
The Nook is. I don't. Are they still developing the Nook?
Apparently, I don't know.
I thought that
Barnes and Noble still in business?
Yeah, to an extent. The local store here is still open. I think they just serve coffee.
Oh.
And have a free place for people to come and look at books.
So you can order them from Amazon?
And then, yeah, that's right. They have Amazon ordering stations all around the store. I kind of got...
Definitely.
Go ahead.
I would go over there and buy them off the shelf, but most of the stuff is at pure retail.
They have they have a good... some of the photography sections and things like that have nice books, but those tend to be expensive. But like you say, but I've had my faith in Amazon partially restored. I was starting to think that they weren't, going the path of all successful companies and taking their eye off the ball, and prices were not so good and delivery was not so good. I had a good experience with them this past week.
What happened?
I needed to order parts for a car, and I wound up getting some stuff overnighted. It was still cheaper to get it on Amazon overnight than it was to get it at the local auto parts store. And the same part, the exact same manufacturer. Prime? What's that? Yes.
Do you have Prime?
Yeah, I did.
So they've gone from $4.95 to $7.95 for overnight.
Yeah, it was in this one case. I ordered something Thursday, which was delivered Saturday on Prime, and I ordered something Friday delivered Saturday for an additional whatever it was, $7.99. But it was still worth it because I would have had to order the same part through the auto parts store, and it would have taken 4 or 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what was the part?
It was a power steering filter.
Okay.
I replaced the power steering pump and hose, and it recommended that when you do that you put an inline filter, which is something new apparently.
I thought you told me that there was a a filter inside the pump.
That was the one I was looking at. I did not buy that particular one. There is a manufacturer that when they remanufacture, or a parts house that remanufactures pumps and adds a filter to the pump. But that one was only available from rockauto.com. But I wound up buying the pump locally with a discount. I got a really nice discount coupon from Advance that took off $20 and just made it worthwhile.
How big a filter is it?
It was just a small. I mean, if you can picture,
is it like a fuel filter?
Yes, like a fuel filter, but it was solid metal. It was not. There was no plastic. It actually you could take it apart too, which is cool. You could take a clip off, and you could take it apart and clean it and put it back together again.
Oh,
yeah. So it was.
Yeah, you kind of wonder why they don't put those at the factory on a new car.
I don't know. Well, my issue was mainly, it wasn't a failure of the fluid. It was a failure of the high-pressure hose, and it was losing fluid slowly, and it ran the sump dry. And while we were on a trip, and just all of a sudden started making this horrible noise, and I stopped at the store and put some fluid in, and noise went away. And when I got home, the reason I couldn't see it leaking was because I had this very nice plastic kind of protector over the hose. When I was taking it apart, I'm pulling this protector back so I could put it onto the new hose. I wasn't sure if it was come with it, and I opened it up, it was full of fluid. So there was no way for me to know that it was leaking.
Yeah.
So.
Well, as long as you didn't have to buy it from Adobe and give them your credit card, you're okay.
Yeah. Oh, no. What? Okay. Go for it.
What? You didn't hear?
I don't know.
No. Adobe got hacked.
Oh.
Almost 3 million accounts were compromised.
I bought Adobe products, but I bought it from one of those buy an old version clearinghouse places.
It goes, Adobe Systems Incorporated is expected to announce today that hackers broke into its network and stole source code for an as yet undetermined number of software titles, including its Cold Fusion web application platform and possibly its Acrobat family of products. The company said hackers also accessed nearly 3 million customer credit card records. and stole login data for an undetermined number of Adobe users' accounts. I think that happened Wednesday or Thursday, something like that.
But that's when they announced it.
That's when the story is from. That's when that's when they. Well, listen to the story. Is expected to announce. I mean, come on, guys. What are you? I guess attorneys were saying, "Hey, don't say anything yet."
Don't blame the attorneys.
Huh? Of course, I blame the attorneys. Who else do we blame?
IT department.
IT department. I mean, attorneys will say, "Don't announce it yet. Let us make sure that we're not liable." Right?
Move on.
So if you have, it's a good idea if you had if you have an account with Adobe, go ahead and change your password. I mean, I have an account. I changed the password. I never bought anything from their site, but I did set up an account with them, so change the password.
Yeah, I bought Acrobat 10 because I looked at Acrobat 11. I couldn't justify the cost.
But
so
did
I
you buy
10
it from them or from a distributor?
No, from one of those software, the down-level versions of software.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about.
No, this was So I've never purchased anything directly from Adobe, and if there was a direct purchase, it was through a company PO. So I never had to give them my card.
I've got about 5 Adobe accounts. I have no idea which one works.
Well,
all of them now for everybody.
This is
anybody who wants it.
This is what I love about Firefox. You can go to the security and you can list all the passwords, and you know which site you're on. And the BBC reports that Chinese web users are criticizing Apple after the company pulled a free iPhone app called Open Door, which enables users to bypass firewalls and access restricted internet sites. So the Chinese are complaining about this. Why would they even have that at the iTunes store? A utility that will allow you to bypass firewalls and access restricted internet sites. I mean, come on. The developers of Open Door, who wish to remain anonymous, I wonder why, told Radio Netherlands that Apple removed the app because it includes content that is illegal in China. It is unclear to us how a simple browser app would include illegal content, since it's the user's own choosing of what websites to view. Using the same definition, wouldn't all browser apps, including Apple's own Safari and Google Chrome, include illegal contents? I mean, it goes on and on about that. But I mean, it seems to me that it's sort of like, remember, Mike, you and Rick were talking about that company that allows you to make keys if you lost your keys?
Mm-hmm. Well, the one we were talking about is the way that you put this implement into the lock and twist it, and you can break the lock and no one can tell it externally.
I thought there was something
bumping. Is that lock bumping?
Yeah, but it's a special one that goes with these quickset locks that you can change the key.
Oh, I thought it was you make another key.
Well, I think there are. I mean, all that stuff is out there.
But anything like this, I mean, that you can do it. There's a problem with that. If you go and you tell people how to do it, you know that the negative branch of society is going to grab it and run with it.
Amnon, society's become so dumbed down, I'm not sure they know the difference.
Well, 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Now you want to get pissed? LavaBit won a victory in court and were able to get the secret court order, which led to the site's closure, unsealed. The ACLU's Chris Soroyan called it the nuclear option. The court order revealed the FBI demanded LavaBit turn over their root SSL certificate, something that would allow them to monitor the traffic of every user of the service. LavaBit offered an alternative method to tap into the single user in question, but the FBI wasn't interested. LavaBit could either comply or shut down. As such, no U.S. company that relies on SSL encryption can be trusted with sensitive data. Everything from Google to Facebook to Skype to your bank account is only encrypted by SSL keys. And if the FBI can force LavaBit to hand over the SSL key or face shutdown, they can do it to anyone. So there were rumors and there were stories around about that the FBI was going after all the root SSL certificate keys. This here is proof to the matter. And, you know, I don't know. If you have a company that has 500,000 customers that rely on encryption and everything, and there you have a cause to believe that one of these people is doing something illegal or maybe a terrorist or whatever, you don't go and you demand a blanket access to everybody. You can go to that person. I mean, if there is one person in Raleigh, North Carolina that is suspected of being a terrorist and they want to tap their phone, do they go and tell the phone company, we want access to all the phone lines in Raleigh? No.
You do if you're arrogant and incompetent and feel like it's easy to just get everything up front and then we have it. If they feel like they can get away with it, they will.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They know it's out of policy.
That's the pisser. That here's a company that was doing good work, had to shut down because they had scruples, and they decided not to hand it over and shut down instead. Because, and they did offer, like I said, they did offer the FBI access to that person that they were looking at. Hey, you can get to their account if you need to. It's just, I don't know. It's wrong.
A lot of wrong stuff out there that's just getting swept under the rug.
Speaking of snooping, I think we discussed maybe a couple, 2-3 shows back, this Tor browser, Tor.
Yeah, right.
And there was a new leak by Mr. Snowden today. It was an NSA presentation that contained some interesting information and some mixed reviews for Tor. One of the things it mentioned that Tor was using a Firefox flaw, which basically it was some kind of a 0-day flaw in the Firefox browser that was bundled with Tor to try to track users. But it's interesting. The presentation states we will never be able to de-anonymize all Tor users all the time. With manual analysis, we can de-anonymize a very small fraction of Tor users. So it's just interesting, and this is from the Register in the UK. I'll put the link in the chat here in a minute. But both the NSA and the GCHQ run Tor nodes themselves. The Brits use Amazon Web Services for this under a project entitled Newton's Cradle. Then there's this interesting statement here, and it'd be interesting to talk about what this means. The agency has also tried to use quantum cookies to track targets who are using Tor. Some cookies appear to persist after Tor sessions. Presentation notes the agencies are investigating if this can be developed into a working tracking system. This is a very disconcerting, at least in my mind, that they are full steam wanting to monitor just about everybody that you do on the net.
Yeah.
They are just like Dyson. Vacuuming up everything just in case it might come in handy one day, possibly.
Dyson
vacuum cleaners.
What?
With the proper amount of suction.
Yeah, only they have a bunch of balls. Yeah. What else?
What is VoIP.ms?
Who?
VoIP.ms.
VoIP in Mississippi. I don't know.
They've taken it upon themselves to send me 2 or 3 emails a day informing me of every moment in their lives, and I'm getting tired of it.
Sorry, I hung up trying to unmute. I was having a rant to the mute button.
Mm-hmm.
But this past week, with all the excitement around people enrolling for Obamacare, there was a statement that was put out saying that there is no implied or any inferment whatsoever that any information you enter into the system to register is private. Nothing. There is no guarantee. There is nothing. It's out there. They're not saying it's going to be protected. They're not saying it's going to be secure. Already they're saying that these, what do they call the facilitators, the people, the navigators, the people are supposed to help people sign up, that they already have incidents where they faxing applications to insurance companies wide open with people's social security numbers already printed on them, not knowing that they're getting to the right people.
Hey, Mike. That MS looks like it's Montserrat. Isn't that Spain?
No, it's not spam.
Spain.
No, I think it's an independent country, isn't it?
I don't know. It's Montserrat.
That's where
Doesn't really make any
George
difference,
Martin had a recording
Wait,
studio.
Steve, what did you say, Steve?
I see, it doesn't really make any difference these days. You can get a sort of domain name based in UAE
I know, but
or
whatever.
whatever.
Where is Montserrat?
That is Spain area.
Yeah, that's what .ms.
Well, I have an account with them, but I sure don't remember why. And in that regard, Amnon, why do you have VoIPO on the web page?
Because I'm an affiliate now. If anybody, whoever buys, whoever
Are
gets
you using it?
I'm using it, yeah. Oh, I love it.
Okay.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Did I tell you what you get for $6.52 a month?
If you may have talked about it when I was away or something, because I remember I think either I told you about it or I told you I've been using them for the past 3 or 4 years.
Oh, no, Uzi told me about them.
Yeah, well, I may have told him.
Because I looked at my latest bill from AT&T for one of the lines that I have here, it's actually the secondary line that stuff is being forwarded to, and it came up to $49 a month. Mm-hmm. I'm saying no, so I started looking again at more VoIP service. I have one line that I'm using heavy. That's $19.95. That line from can't remember the name. Pulse. And said, well, I don't need it for that. So I knew he had something. So VoIPO gives you actually 2 lines, which is interesting. You can you answer the phone, and if somebody else calls the same phone, that second line rings. And you can put that first one on hold and go to the second one and answer it. You can also be on that first line and pick up the second line and call out. So you actually have, it's not two numbers, it's the same number. And I have one of those 4-line phones on my desk, and when it rings, both lines ring. Both lines flicker.
That's the value of SIP, and what SIP can bring. What SIP can bring to, what were traditionally very limited services. So SIP
this
can
is,
have.
When you think about it, this is for $6.52 a month. You pay for a year 2 years in advance. So I can't remember. It came up to be $100 and some. But like Mike said, I would have paid that 3 months of AT&T with one line. So, I mean, I was so excited about it. I said, well, can I actually, I asked him to have somebody on the show and talk about it. He said, you can become an affiliate and we'll pay you something every time somebody signs up. So I said, okay. So that's why I put it there. And the quality is amazing.
When we do Rick's show on
can
Saturday,
be very good.
Wait, one at a time. What?
When we do the Rick show on Saturday morning, when I call out to the Tennessee Traveler, that's using the VoIPO line.
Yeah, works great. Steve, what did you say?
With the higher wideband codecs, the audio quality can be excuse me, I do apologize. They can be amazing on SIP or via SIP.
Yeah,
that's what I used to use when I used to call in to talk to you, and always got a comment from people saying, "Wow, your audio is really clear."
Yeah. So let me introduce you to Siri. If you've not met her, it was revealed on CNN that voiceover actress Susan Bennett, who lives in Georgia, is Siri. She's the voice of Siri. So,
does she have a voice for radio?
I don't know. She has a voice for Apple. It's funny.
I mean, does she have not voice? The looks. How does it go? A face for radio.
Face for radio. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you would, how would you think that Siri looked based on her voice? You would probably imagine her younger than this particular gal is, but that's the whole voiceover business. It doesn't really matter your age. That's why there are some of the most successful voiceover people financially are getting way up there in years. In fact, it's going to open a lot of opportunity for some younger people as they pass off the scene. But
I remember somebody telling me about lovingly known as Silicon Sally, which is the voice of voicemail for many, many, many companies. And they did an interview of her, and she was older, in her 60s, but the point was that she took her job very seriously. My goodness. Oh, I have a very important responsibility. But she spoke on camera the same way she would speak during the voicemail. It was kind of interesting.
I heard an interesting interview at this conference where I was. I don't know how many of you watched Duck Dynasty, but it's become an extremely most popular cable TV show right now.
Yeah.
And every year they have a special guest at this Catalyst conference. And this year it was Uncle Si. Look, hey, okay. He had his Tupperware glass where he was drinking the tea. And he told the story behind that Tupperware cup. He actually had a man walk up to him and said, "I want to buy that cup." And Si told him, "You don't have enough money to buy this cup." He pulled out a check, signed it, a blank check, gave it to him. He said, "You fill in the amount." And his friend, the friend of the guy that wrote the check, standing next to him, he said, "Listen, you put any amount in there you want. This guy's got the money, whatever you put in there." But he would not sell the cup because it's the cup that his mother sent him in a care package when he was serving in Vietnam.
Wow.
And it just has a lot of special meaning to him. But that was really funny. You talk about interviews and voices. How different can you get, right, Spence?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's nigh on impossible to put a price on sentimental value.
Yep. So does Duck Dynasty have any popularity in the UK?
I've not heard of it before, actually, Bruce.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's the number one.
But then I don't get out
show.
much.
Yeah.
Didn't they exceed even what they're opening? Didn't they have more ratings even than broadcast television?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The most popular show on television at that particular night they premiered?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a hoot to watch. They're really, but they've been doing a lot of interviews and been around. And while they kid around a lot, they built this business from scratch into a very successful business, just doing duck calls for hunters, and all the products that go along with it. But they are smart businessmen. They come off as goofy on the show, but they really know what they're doing. Have a lot of fun. Very, very good values. Hard work.
I was watching an episode where Phil, one of the brothers, he and Si are the brothers, and he was babysitting his granddaughters. There's about 3 or 4 of them, and they all were playing on iPads and stuff like that, and it was freaking him out. He just couldn't figure out the technology. It was funny.
All right, let's see what else the news genie brought in.
I thought you guys would want to talk about the whole sign up for Obamacare. Maybe it's just not
you mean
worth
the
talking
flop?
about.
The flop?
Well, I can tell you this. It's been the best thing for the business that I'm in. Our phones are ringing off the hook.
Like, what the heck? How the heck do I get this or do this?
Well, we're an alternative to traditional health care. It's a mutual sharing, medical bill sharing program. It's designed for people of faith, and we have exemption in the Affordable Care Act. And so a lot of people of faith who are concerned about the government program, we have 43 full-time people in our development department that do nothing but answer the phones and from people who are responding to newspaper ads, radio ads, things like that. And now that we've gotten to this October time frame, it's insane. Normally we work 11,600 leads, and last month we had over 17,000 leads that came in. And in this conference that I was in, I just almost lost my voice just all day just talking to, people who, self-employed entrepreneurial people who are having to buy health care off the rack, and just explaining, our program to them. But it's rather interesting when you think about it. We have over 65,000 members, and they've shared over $774 million in each other's medical bills over the last 20 years. So, but yeah, the technology behind these exchanges has not been working too smoothly.
Well, that and the sticker shock. There's a Facebook page where people, well, there's 2 things I saw. One was Twitter, how young people didn't realize that there was actually a tax that they'd have to pay if they didn't get health care. And they were just, what? I could never heard about it before. And were just blown away by this. What the hell is going on here? All that. And then the other part was the Facebook page that was put up by the government was being overwhelmed by people talking about, how much is the deductible? $5,000? I can't afford this. The premiums are 3 times what they're paying, and they're just
some people.
Happy. Some people's are, yes. But the one case I heard of that was very interesting was a young man who was a law student who is 30 years old, had been getting his health care through a program at the university he goes to. It cost him something like $40 a month. He went to the website, finally got through, and wound up finding out that at his income level, he qualified for Medicaid. So now the system turned him from a paying customer to essentially a welfare client.
Yeah, and there's going to be more and more of these.
Yep.
And that's why they need all the good people that are healthy and make money to get in. Yeah.
I did actually.
But they didn't. But what?
I got a login. It took me a while, but I finally did get a login because I wanted to see. All right, because next year if things go the way we're we're planning, we're not going to be working for big companies anymore, and we're going to have to purchase our own health care. And I started looking at the options, and it financially is not an option for us, not if we're going to be making what we think we're going to make. So even with the subsidies, it's the deductibles are just insane. We'll see. Maybe I just don't know enough yet. That's all I'm going to say
Bruce,
about that.
do you see what Tom is asking in chat?
Yeah, and I'll answer his question, and I'll put another link in there for him. Not currently. We have our members just now voted on a new group share plan that we're doing for small businesses, like for staff, and that does offer some limited prorated pre-X sharing, 15K the first year, 25K the next year. There's another sharing ministry. There are three of us that came together to form the Healthcare Sharing Alliance. We were able to get the exemption language in Senator Grassley's bill. It was kind of an interesting thing how that happened. We had no exemption language in the House bill. If you recall the political landscape back then, when the Senate passed the ACA, then it went over to the House. And at that time, Senator Kennedy died and was replaced by a Republican, which changed the balance of power in the Senate. So rather than the House, mucking up, coming up with their own stuff, they just rubber stamped the Senate bill, and that was the one where we had exemption. But there is another healthcare sharing ministry called Christian Healthcare Ministries that does offer currently prorated pre-X sharing. It's 15K the first year, 25K the second, 30 the fourth. And
that's
then,
the maximum benefit?
That's maximum for a need related to pre-existing condition.
And by the way, get over the self-serving part. This is good information. I think it's critical information. Even for people who are working with companies and who have really good health plans, that could change tomorrow, as it just did for 4,000 people at Cisco last week.
Right. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Wait.
Let's get back to that. Yeah.
Wait a second. Let Bruce finish. And I want to understand, is it 25,000 maximum for somebody who has a heart condition?
Just for any bills related to a pre-existing condition they had. And you need to understand that rare is the occasion that the average citizen rarely has over $30,000 in medical bills in any one year. We hear about the major stories when somebody has big things that happen, but our particular program has what we call extra blessing program, where if somebody has a pre-existing condition that was not eligible to be shared by the members, they can submit it to the members, and the members can give and donate above and beyond their monthly share amount to meet that need. In the last 6 months, and last month in particular, every single one of those submitted bills were shared by the members, giving above and beyond what they normally share. But we have no caps. We used to have $1 million a year, $5 million lifetime. Now we have no caps at all for just accidents, injuries, and illnesses that somebody might come. I'm going to put all three of these in here because I don't want anybody to think that that I'm trying to. All
right. Well, Spence, what were you? You wanted.
I was going to say it. The story about Cisco and the 4,000. What was that
Mike?
about, Mike?
All I know is that we contacted a guy. I can't tell the details, but we contacted a guy who works with Cisco, pretty high up guy, about setting up an appointment for a matter, and he wrote back, said, well, I'd love to do so, but I found out yesterday that I and 4,000 others will not be doing this anymore. And the
layoffs. Yes, did hear about that.
Yeah. And I can't understand it, because I heard on the radio that the economy has turned around and we're headed in the right direction and things are really going well.
Yep.
I guess they're not listening to radio at Cisco.
Well, there's a standard disconnect between reality and
government.
No, I think they have a very good grasp on reality.
I think Cisco has the grasp.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. They do, and the government doesn't. Or they're just they have the Department of Information putting out things that.
I wonder what percentage of their worldwide force is 4,000. That's interesting.
I did put one wrong link in there.
Well, fix it.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're good to go now. Oh, that's right. But if these are options to look into. It's real interesting. In fact, speaking of technology, we actually have a patented software process called
patented.
Yes, you're right. It's called the virtual share exchange. And what happens with people who are part of MediShare, every single one of our members, and Mike, I think you'd find this interesting. Every single one of our members opens up a credit union account with America's Christian Credit Union. It's a 50-plus-year-old financial institution in California. And they give us limited power of attorney to do two things. So every single member has an account like this, and their monthly share amount goes into their ACCU account. And then when a person has a medical need, we can move money from however many member accounts that we need to into the ACCU account of the person who has the medical bill, and they authorize a check out of that account, pay that member's hospital and provider bills. It's all virtual. It happens seamlessly. It's patented. It's a virtual share exchange.
The question that I have, Bruce, is can an individual sign it? Is this approaching individuals, or is it for small businesses?
No, it's primarily for individuals.
Well, I wish my daughter had signed up for it 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk to you all there.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what I don't understand. I mean, when you're talking about pre-existing, 25,000. I mean, you can't even get into a hospital for a couple of hours and come out with that.
Actually, you can, Amnon. A lot of these hospital bills that you see are what the hospital charges, but that's not what the insurance company pays.
Right.
I'm told that for a $25,000 bill, the hospital and doctor and all usually end up around $8,000.
Yeah, and our particular one of these three sharing ministries, and we're the only one that does this. None of these, by the way, are insurance. They're all 501c3, not-for-profit medical bill sharing ministries. But we are affiliated with the nation's largest PPO, PHCS. So our member card has the PHCS logo. So to Mike's point, all the PPO provider network discounting is all taking place on the side, and it is significant. It's anywhere usually from 40 to 50%.
Bruce, do you get the idea that this method is something you have an exemption now, but is this the kind of thing you think that, knowing the way the government's going with this, they want to move to single payer? Is this the kind of thing that will eventually be a target to be shut down?
Well, yeah, probably for two reasons. One, the insurance lobby, they don't like the competition of somebody like us or the other two that are doing health care in a completely different way, actually doing almost like doing health insurance the way health insurance used to be. You remember, hundreds of years ago, whenever it started, a group of people went to get together, and the operative word was pool. They pool their resources together into a big pot. Then when somebody in that group or that community had a need, they would pull the money out of the pool and meet that need. But now it's become just, big business and for profit. What I like about what we do is the monthly share amount you send in every month is going to another family. And on the invoice you receive, it actually has the name of the family that your share is going to help with their medical expenses. Wow. There's nothing shared about their medical condition, because that would be a violation of HIPAA. But, you do know that this family is the family that our monthly share amount is going to help, rather than going to a for-profit company who's investing it in all kinds of things that, you may or may not be comfortable with. And, of course, their goal is to make money for their stockholders, and that's okay. That's business for them. But we're not nonprofit, and it works great.
Good. All right.
So do you think they weren't? You think it's a matter of scale, Spencer, that they just weren't ready for the size and scope of people coming into these servers? Or
I think that they didn't. Well, number one, they probably had no idea what they were getting involved in. And what does the government ever do that works great right out of the chute? I mean, this is a whole new thing. I went to the North Carolina exchange because that's run by the federal government. North Carolina didn't want to run it themselves. But I heard that it didn't matter whether you went to a federal exchange or to a state exchange. They were all overwhelmed, not friendly, not down for a long period of time. But I think that there's been so much hype, positive and negative, about this, and there's so much emotion and politics tied up in it that I don't know how it could succeed out of the gate perfectly. It's just not possible. I mean, in the back, as knowing my politics and the way I am, I'm a conservative, and that I wasn't in favor of this from the beginning. And because from a freedom perspective, and just the way it was rolled out and how it was passed, and the way it was pushed on people, and I was very upset with the Supreme Court ruling that ruled it a tax, and it just I'm not sure how to feel about it now, to be honest. I was hoping that it wouldn't be, if we're going to have to put up with it, that it would be better than it is. But the prices that I've seen so far are making it very difficult. I think it's going to create a big issue for a lot of families, especially with companies turning off their health care, saying, here's an example of what I'm hearing happens. One company, and I can't remember the name of it, has a policy that says if your spouse has health insurance available from another provider, that you can't get it through the other partner's insurance. And I remember when I worked for Nortel, they had a policy that if your spouse could get it through another company, that you had to pay a premium, which was more than that, basically a penalty that was actually more than the premium if you wanted to have your spouse on the same plan as you. So that was not economically viable. So what some companies have done now is said, well, now that Obamacare is available and the exchanges are there, we'll no longer insure your spouse because they have insurance available somewhere else.
Right.
So
I talked to a lot of people, especially over the last few days, people that were responsible American citizens. They purchased a health care plan that they could afford, that matched with their budget needs. And now a lot of these people are getting letters saying, I'm sorry, the plan you had is no longer available. This is going to be your new plan. And wow. I mean, just incredible increases, sometimes 50, 60%, because the plan that they had, that they felt like they were responsible. They were providing for their health. They were not freeloading. They made a responsible decision. But now that plan's no longer in existence because it doesn't have all the comprehensive things now that the ACA says a plan has to have. And
I think that either they're incredibly incompetent and didn't realize the unintended consequences, or this is by design, and that it's to make the system fail to the point where, well, the only thing that actually works is government, and
yeah, that's the best comment you made so far.
Having gone through thank God, not a life-threatening, but a relatively intense medical process this past year, this is the first time I've ever had to go and use services like this before. I'd never had to go in and have major surgery. I've never had to go in and have access to top doctors at Duke and all this stuff. So I'm frightened. I'm looking at that and going, will I ever be able to get this kind of care again?
But you know what, Spence? I've had to say to my kids and my family and people that I talk with, there's reason to be frightened, but don't live your life in fear.
Oh,
There's
no.
nothing you can do about it.
When I say frightened,
deal.
I mean, I know we'll get by. And I always talk about how, sometimes I kid Pam, say, would you be okay if we lived in a what do you call it, a travel trailer on a state park or something like that? Because we might wind up there, but we'll still be
legal.
okay.
Not legal.
No, I know you can't live there. You can stay there. You have to move out. You have to move the trailer once every 30 days or something like that.
I think you have to move it when they're not looking. That's Tom. That's what I believe it was. I believe it was you telling me, Bruce, about how you're in a camper and you pulled over the side of the road and the guy said you can't park here. You got to go park there. Wake you up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So
we were having a discussion.
Whatever the government lets you do.
Now, Mike, what is that thing about North Carolina not running an exchange and the federal government is running ours? Or, Bruce, what does that mean to us?
Well, every state had the opportunity to set up their own state exchange if they wanted to. I believe California did. I think New York did. Not sure how many others did, but I know at least 28 states did not. They were not going to do it. And it was kind of a resistance move, I think, on their part, as well as a financial move. Say, no, we're not going to do it. If you're going to force this on us, you're going to create our exchange. And so, some states, at least 28, don't have their own individual state exchange. The federal government set it up for them. But on another note, if you want an iPhone 5C, one of those pretty colored iPhones, Best Buy dropped the price until Monday. You can get it for $50.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, actually, it's a $50 gift card, right? They give you. I think it's where you go and it's a $50. You buy it for $99 and you get a $50 gift card.
Oh, okay.
Because they can't sell it for less than $99 because that's what Apple requires that they sell it at.
Right. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So it's a good offer though.
Mm-hmm.
If you need accessories for it, there's your accessories.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch completely. France's National Gendarmerie, the National Law Enforcement Agency, is now running 37,000 desktop PCs with a custom distribution of Linux. And by summer of 2014, the agency plans to switch over all 72,000 of its desktop machines. The agency claimed that the TCO of open source software is about 40% less than proprietary software from Microsoft, referring to their article published by EU's interoperability solution for public administrations.
You're moving away from the mic, and it is gating, Amnon.
Oh. Okay. Better now?
Yep.
Initially, the Gendarmerie has moved to Windows versions of cross-platform OSS applications such as OpenOffice, Firefox, and Thunderbird. Now they are completing the process by changing the OS. This is one of the largest known government deployment of Linux on the desktop. What do they know that we don't?
I think all government agencies should be required to use Linux on the desktop. And all schools, too.
Well, it's just...
Got to save the pennies somehow.
Why not?
Yeah, but if you're going to have bespoke programming that is programmed to run on Linux, so if it looks the same, operates the same as it does on Windows, they're not going to get into Windows anyway. They're only going to operate the program itself, so you don't have to come out to the operating system. So they're not going to know, are they?
I can't confirm this story, and I have become very skeptical about repeating anything I hear anymore for two reasons. One is I may not remember it correctly, and number two, which is often the case, the person who told me had no clue what he was talking about. But I heard that several years ago that Microsoft on their, what is this plan that they have, Spence? It's the software assurance plan or something like that.
Office 365?
No. Before that, the one where that you just paid Microsoft money every year and you got the latest and the greatest.
Oh yeah, it's their subscription. It's licensing. Yeah, 3-year license.
Many businesses are on that plan. It's not like we're going to decide to upgrade to Office 365. It is, when do we make the transition? And Microsoft pushes them into the transition by discontinuing support for earlier software, things of that nature.
Yep.
And I guess in many cases, as long as you are in lockstep with Microsoft and agree with their changes, it's probably the right way to go because the software is always supported. It's usually the latest and the greatest. And so I get it. I'm not criticizing the plan. But my understanding is, and again, I can't verify this, but I was told that the salesman, you might appreciate this with regard to being a salesman, but you went to the government of Mexico and said, okay, here's your bill for your Microsoft products for the next year, and it was $2 billion, and they said pass. Went with OpenOffice and other Linux and other things. Again, did that get turned around? I don't know. But at least at the time, that was a big story.
There aren't many companies that can have a lock-in strategy that works so well as Microsoft. Although there are people who are leaving, but that's the enterprise business for them, including servers and all that, Link, and they're very, very successful for them. They're losing money on the some other divisions, but
like what?
The hardware.
Bruce, you may want to disconnect the video and reconnect.
They had a massive write-down for the first time in the company's history due to the whole Surface debacle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I had to go to a class as part of a competitive positioning that was training people on how to compete against Microsoft, and we had to go and look at how they do their typical 3-year licensing. And it's very clever because you pay each of those 3 years, you pay a fee towards your upgrade, which means you've got a stake built in that you're not willing to walk away from, because if you decide not to renew, you lose it. So you're paying towards the next renewal or the next update, and the software insurance comes along with that, so you get free upgrades, patches, new
free.
Features.
Did you hear what you just said?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They call
prepaid.
it free. Yeah, it's prepaid. Exactly. So
this is the thing that gets me. Jim, who's in tech support in chat, says Microsoft's biggest thing is Exchange and Active Directory. All right, I get that. Who the heck is their competitor?
Oracle?
I don't think so. I mean, who has a mail server equivalent to Exchange?
I don't.
That you can.
Good question.
I mean, this is what aggravates me is that let's suppose that we form Computers 2K now as a corporate entity and hire 100 people. We want our own mail server. What are you going to do? Run pop accounts on a Linux server, or are you going to go for Microsoft Exchange? I had this discussion with a friend of mine earlier in the week. He runs a small law office. He uses the shared calendars, things of that nature, and he said, "What should I be running?" I said, "What are you running now?" He didn't know, but it turns out he's running Microsoft's small business server with it, which includes Exchange. And I said, "I think you need to stick with it."
Believe it or
Google
not,
Apps.
Novell NetWise is still around.
Well, what were you saying, Bruce?
GroupWise, yeah.
Why wouldn't a lot of small businesses just go with Google Apps?
Yeah, that's what
For
Andrew
business.
was saying, or Jim was saying,
Because of cost.
that
It's cheaper.
Google is
Not-
closer.
You run the cost on 100 accounts.
$50 a user a year.
All right, so 100 is $5,000 a year.
But you have everything. I mean,
Well, I know, but on your own Exchange server, it's in the cloud, but B, with your own Exchange server, you can buy Exchange for, last time I checked, it was less than $1,000.
Yeah, but you can't install it.
Sure you can.
No, you can't.
Why can't you?
Because you actually, to run it and maintain it, you're going to need to have a Microsoft person that actually learned how to do it. This is not trivial.
I agree and I disagree. I've done Exchange server maintenance, and it is definitely not for the faint at heart. But any company with 100 employees is going to have an IT person anyway.
So I did a search on Exchange competitors, and none of the names that popped up are names I've ever heard of. And
It's just not there
very
yet.
Small, yeah, very small competitors.
And you're saying, and Jim, you're saying Google business. But here's my question, though, and I mean, I'm not dogging on anybody with this question. I just don't know the answer. Well, I think I do know the answer, but I don't understand the answer, and that is, what can I go if I'm going to install? Let's suppose if I want to install my own mail server here at home today, I could go get Microsoft Small Business Server and set it up, and life is good. Subject to Time Warner limitations, of course. But let's suppose that I said, nope, I don't want to use Microsoft. I'm going to set up my own mail server. So then what do? Do I have to get something like Red Hat or one of the others? I mean, I just don't. And I mean, that would be installed locally here on a machine at my home. It's Exchange or insert alternative here. What is the alternative? I don't think there is one.
There's a lot of them.
What?
There's a lot of people that are the Linux users that are running their own mail server at home. They don't rely on anybody else. They have their own.
I know that is, but if correct, and I'm not dogging on anybody. I'm asking, and if I don't know the answer, then a lot of other people don't know the answer. And because I love Linux, I love the idea of Linux servers. I think it's phenomenal. But having said that, to me, as I understand it, and I have 2 Linux servers, is that's either POP or IMAP. It's not an Office integration. It's not an Exchange account. It is not push email like Exchange is. Tell me, I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't use it, but I know that a lot of them are using local mail servers. You were talking about mail server. I don't know about competitors to Office, to Exchange, but there was one because I remember one of our customers asked if they can do something like this, and Ron was saying, yeah, we can set it up for them. Everything will be like Exchange, but it's not trivial.
Andrew's doing everything in the cloud with Google Apps, and I love it. We've been through this before, but I hate the way they all of a sudden went from free to paid overnight. I had about 2 accounts that I really needed to move over there. It's really not worth paying $50 a year for an account. It's just not worth it when you get free stuff and use the Gmail accounts. And I like it, but that Google Apps for Business is not the same as Microsoft Exchange.
You can
hate Microsoft. It's just not the same.
You can get what they call hosted Exchange these days.
I understand. Now your stuff is still in the cloud.
Yeah.
It's still in the cloud.
One of the main reasons that I've heard, and I'm not a Microsoft expert
Exchange.
by any means. The reason why companies like Exchange is because they can back up all the email that comes to a user all the time.
More to it than that, Amnon.
That's the main reason. Because if you're doing POP, there is no way to back it all up. Because once you pop in and you get your email, it's gone from the server. So
unless you leave it on the server and do it.
Unless you leave it, yeah. But it's more like control. I want to know everything that's happening on my mail server, which in some cases can be justified. But I don't know what else is there for mail. Now, if you're talking about calendar and all that and integration, that's a different story, yeah.
Well, that's important. I want to know, and Spencer posted Zimbra.com.
Yeah, Zimbra is one of them.
That, again, it has to be the same suite of services that Exchange provides. And what I'm getting to is, at least at this point in time, it appears to me that Exchange is somewhat of a monopoly. And I'll ask you this, Jim. What is Zimbra's penetration versus Exchange? And I say it in this way. You're in the business. Let's suppose a customer comes to you and says, I hate Microsoft. Apple is wonderful. I want Apple's Exchange server. Oh, wait, they don't have one. What's the next best thing? And you say, oh, I'm going to recommend Zimbra. They're nice. They're close to Exchange. Now, your reputation's on the line if Zimbra disappears or it doesn't perform. So at this point in time, Jim, are you you say they've got about 2% market penetration. Is that enough for you to put your reputation on the line with one of your customers to recommend that they switch to Zimbra instead of Exchange? It may be. I don't know.
You can ask the same question about, hey, I hate Windows. I want a different operating system. What is the penetration of Linux?
Sir, absolutely. But the penetration of but wait a minute, Amnon. Let me ask this question. What is the penetration of Linux in the server market?
That's because that's where it started.
That's where they're dominating. That's because they just work. That's as trouble-free as you can get. A lot of these things, you just set them and forget them, and that's fabulous. I'm impressed with that. So anyway, the point being that the code base, at least because as I understand it, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Linux code base used for server is really the same as the desktop. It just has different modules, some different modules optimized for desktop. It's really the same code base. Now, that being said, if that's true, Linux has well proven itself over time. I mean, nobody questions the viability and the reliability of Linux as I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a Linux user other than the server.
No. Morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. Even Nick has switched over to Linux on his portable computer, as Bruce has on his Chromebook, right, Bruce?
Correct.
And these transitions are working.
Yeah, but this works. This works for people that know how to do it and have support and all that.
I wouldn't say so.
That's what I was asking, because Nick and Bruce, you two can comment on that. Bruce, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, the combination of the Chromebook, the Google services, the way everything syncs up, calendars, contacts, Hangouts, all of that, the communication that you can have with Google Talk, then running Linux simultaneously, having the LibreOffice on the Chromebook. It just works really, really good. And when I think about a business and trying to keep the bottom line down, I don't look at just, Google Apps versus Microsoft Exchange. I look at the whole package. I look at what you would have to spend for a full Office suite, LibreOffice or OpenOffice versus, Microsoft Office. The amount of technical support that's required for all of that versus a more open standard Google thing. I'm just very comfortable with that right now. I mean, if I was a business owner and I had 100 attorneys in a firm and was concerned about, backup, because there are some legal requirements in business. Same thing for our healthcare business. We have to keep backups. We record phone calls and things like that. It might not be an option for larger entities, but for smaller entities, I think it's hard to beat what Google Apps provides in concert with OpenOffice, LibreOffice, Linux type solution. Nick, what do you think?
So I mean, I know absolutely nothing about Linux. I have absolutely no clue. This was the first time I've ever used it. I was always turned off to it because I always thought it was so complicated and
Geeky.
Yeah, and that's originally what I thought. But with the Linux distro that I'm running, which is Crunchbang, which is Debian based, most of the it's so easy to install packages because most of them are already in Crunchbang's directory. So all you're really doing is going to Google to figure out, okay, what's the name of this package? It's already it's already in Crunchbang's pool of servers. So now you're just doing, apt-get Skype, and then it's installing Skype. And I have Hangouts on my Linux mobile computer too. I've got Hangouts. I have Spotify. I have everything that I use on my Windows computer on that, and I'm very happy with it. And it's not complicated.
But
so
wait a second, Nick, maybe you misunderstood. Okay, if two brothers in the family, which have the same understanding of computers, both of them build a computer.
Okay.
One of them is going to install Windows 8 or Windows 7, and the other one says, I'm going to go with Linux.
Yeah.
How many times does the guy with Windows need to go to Google to search how to do this or how to do that?
Well, how many times do they have to go to Google to... Oh, no. How many times do they have to go to Google to download the installer? It's the same thing. You're going to... on Windows, you're going to Google to go to Skype.com to download it. For Linux, you're going to crunchbang.org/forums/whatever, and you're finding the code that downloads the installer. Now,
here, that's my point. In order to get Skype on Windows, you just go to Skype.com and there's a button, download.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. You just made a Google reference saying how many times they have to go to the internet. If you're running Windows, you're still going to the internet to get that download file.
No, I'm talking about finding out how to do this and how to do that.
It's exactly what
Let Mike. What?
Yeah, let me say this because it's very important. I'm going to make a contrary point to what you're saying, Amnon. I think anything has a learning curve associated with it. In my opinion, the real issue with Linux has been the learning curve is steeper than it is for people who grew up on Windows. That is, learning a new Windows is trivial compared to starting from scratch learning Linux. Over time, Linux with GUIs, graphical user interfaces, is becoming more and more, and they don't like this term, Windows-like.
Right.
In that it is more intuitive, and you don't have to be as geeky to make it work. And so that being said, I don't. It's like the Mac. Today is very special because after today I become Macless. I'm giving away my MacBook.
Yay!
And yeah, it'll be gone. It'll be totally Mac-free house again, except for these iPhones, and which are not Macs, they're Apples. But that being said. My objection is not that Mac is a bad computer. It's not. They're excellent computers. They have a learning curve associated with them. While we have been on the show, I've had to ask Andrew how to open a second Finder window so that I can drag files between two windows. It was not intuitive to me. Once he showed me how to do it, trivial. Piece of cake. Not a problem. If they want to do it that way, it's fine. Nobody cares. But it was not, as a Windows user, it was not intuitive to me how to open that second window. Open the second window, dragging stuff back and forth. By the end of the show, I'll have all my stuff off of it, and then I'll have to get Andrew to show me how to return it to factory specs and update the operating system, then I'm done with it. Now, having said that, I am convinced that Linux has that very same type of issues with new users, and that is, if you're not willing to invest the time in learning how to use the software, stick with Windows. It's going to be here.
Andrew just said, why can't I go to Skype.com and download the file? And you can. I just posted the link to Skype for Linux, and it's just on Skype's website.
Yeah, but there's more to it. That's
Actually,
what
with
I'm
this,
saying. I mean, and again, I may be wrong, Nick. I don't know. I mean, what email program do you use on that machine?
I don't personally use email,
but if you do, if that was your
Thunderbird.
machine,
Thunderbird,
I'd be using Thunderbird.
It's fabulous.
Yeah. I personally don't use it. I don't use the computer enough during the week where I need email. I have my phone with me if I.
Hey, let's talk about how easy it is to update Linux versus Microsoft, or how easy it is to update your Linux programs. It's a one-word code that you enter in there, and it goes out there and it updates all of your programs if there's any updates for them. It's just
that is actually nice. I do that almost weekly,
and in most cases, it doesn't require you to reboot either.
I want to answer one of Andrew's questions because he'll have a heart attack if he didn't get answers to his questions. And this is my opinion, of course, and I've already confessed to not being a Linux user, but the ease of use, and this, tell me if this is right, guys, if you know the Apple stuff, but the ease of use in installing programs in Windows results from because Windows programs come with installers.
Right.
And that is that when somebody writes a program, you don't just double-click it and install it on your computer. The developer of that program either wrote or licensed or used a packaging program that put it all into an exe that unpacks that code, that program, and installs it on your computer. And the reason that I know that is because I've done it at the code level, but also I noticed that on the Mac, some programs you have to drag from this and open this and do this, and others you can just double-click on it, and it will go ahead and install itself on the Mac like it does on a Windows. It seems to me that on Linux that the geeks have not found it necessary or beneficial or have not, and please correct me if I'm wrong, to have not found it necessary to create these installer packages because the way to do it manually is just not that tough.
Mike, you are wrong.
Tell me. That's why I'm asking.
There is, on this distro I'm running, which is Debian-based, there's when you download files, they're .deb files.
What?
.deb for Debian. And I'm
DEB,
trying to,
yeah, okay.
Let me open up one, and I wish I could show you, but so right here I have Google Chrome current stable.deb. You double-click on it. you get an installer window. It says, since I already have it installed, it says the package name, which is Chrome, the status installed, and it gives me the option to either install the package, update the package, or delete the package. And this is an installer, and I could click reinstall the package. It would remove it and reinstall it, and it is a brilliant install. And there's none of that junk like, oh, make AVG your main search tool, or
grep and grup and group and grub and
download this. Yeah, that's what it's really easy, because I wouldn't be able to figure this out. I have no.
You would. You just have to spend the time. It's kind of like math.
So here's a question then.
Okay.
Steve, you were going to say something?
I wasn't. No.
Why don't we see more people use Linux? A lot more people.
Because they're afraid.
Afraid of what?
Because the like Andrew's been talking in chat. Linux is not for normal people. Like Mike didn't know that there was an installer. People have this notion that Linux isn't even a desktop. It's just one big command prompt, and it's not. I mean, I've got multiple desktops on here. I've got Skype running. I've got all this stuff running, and it's really not that hard.
It's becoming a lot more easier for the average user to do, but they need to get that message out there. At the moment, most people are frightened of it because they think it is all based on command prompt, or if they need to do something that's fairly technical, it's going to be command prompt, which frightens people off. For the average thing that most users want to do, which is email, and they've got Thunderbird for that, and in Skyping and social media, it is just a case of even in Ubuntu, you've got your software center that you can go to. I think most of the large distros have got that now. So you don't have to go anywhere. You've got your software install center, so you don't have to go traipsing around the net trying to find the thing that you want. You just search in the software control center. You've got categories that say, this is for the internet, this is for graphics, this is for music, entertainment, whatever it might be. And then you find them from that. You don't have to go traipsing around and know what you're looking for. It basically comes up and says, here you go, here's all the programs that deal with music. And then you pick the one you want.
Yeah, that actually is the only the major reason to use Ubuntu is because of its software install center. Very similar to Apple's App Store.
Yeah, Ubuntu is the one that opened the door for more people to use Linux on their PCs because of the desktop. Before that, I mean, there was a GUI, but it wasn't what we're used to. It was something that you can use Linux in a graphic with a graphic interface, but it wasn't what you were used to. Today,
Bruce, were you saying something?
Yeah, of course, the Chrome OS is based on Linux. So, it was so simple. I mean, I've plugged my Logitech C525 webcam and it just works on the Chromebook. I plug in the Behringer mixer and it just works on the Chromebook. I plug in the ATR 2100 and it just works. I plug in the HDMI. We had a wireless Logitech keyboard with a mouse. I put the little dongle in the USB port. No drivers needed. It just flat out works. I've not had any bad experience with either a sound card device or any external device that I've plugged into this Chromebook. I like that. And I think the Samsung Series C Chromebook is the number one selling laptop on Amazon, and as more and more people try these kind of simple solutions and find that for 85-90% of users, really it's all they need if they're not creating a bunch of content and audio and video editing and stuff like that. I just like it, and I think as more people experiment with things like the Chromebook and the Chrome OS, I think it's going to introduce more and more people to the Linux world.
Talking about plugging in the ATR and it works. Steve, did the box ever arrive?
I was away for a few days. I had a card on the door saying that the post office tried to deliver something, and a neighbour took it in, but the neighbour's now away, so I don't know. I'm assuming it's that. Thank you.
All right.
If it is that, I don't know, but I'll preemptively say thank you very, very much. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
In case it is. Thank you.
Did you see where they're going to have Chrome OS on a Windows 8 that you can run in a browser?
Say that again? Chrome OS.
Google is building Chrome OS straight into Windows 8. It's a Verge story. I'll put the link in the chat. But Google is building Chrome OS straight into Windows 8. Google unveiled its Chrome Apps initiative recently to launch apps that exist outside of the browser and extends its reach into more of a platform. Over the past few weeks, Google has been updating its developer version of the Chrome browser to run with essentially Chrome OS within Windows 8 Metro mode.
Interesting.
I tell you what, we're talking about the Microsoft Exchange and everything. Versus Google Apps for Business, Microsoft has been behind in a number of these areas. Now they're coming out with Azure. They want to have a cloud thing so they can be, to come up with Office 365. They're a step behind, and I think they've got reason to be concerned. Maybe Azure will end up being a great product, and enterprise will go with it because they're used to the Microsoft world. But it's kind of interesting.
It is interesting. Bruce, your video is deteriorating. Try and disconnect completely and reconnect. It's coming and going. I just did a speed test and it's way up there, so it's not from here.
And when you do a speed test, Amnon, it can cause his Skype to deteriorate.
I know, but I did that after. And it
I have
did not deteriorate.
CPU, and I've got plenty of bandwidth, so I don't mind stopping, starting.
Go ahead,
again,
go ahead, stop it and start it again. So we'll.
I really think people need to try Linux. I mean, if you've got an old computer, this computer that I'm using right here.
Well, wait a minute. Before you say that, Nick, and I want you to qualify this because my experience is several years old. I heard what you're getting ready to say. Linux is efficient, it's lean, it's mean, it runs great on old computers. Mm-hmm. So I installed one on an old computer. It was slow as molasses, and then I went back to the guy who told me that, and he said, oh, yeah, I was talking about the text version, the GUI version. He said that requires the same resources as Windows because it's doing the same thing. Now, go ahead and say what you were going to say.
So the computer I'm using is it's a Core 2 Duo. My grandfather got a new Windows 8 computer, and he gave this to me. And I was like, the Windows, especially because I use this at school and I don't have access to charge it. The battery life is great on Linux. It boots. I can have this computer. It doesn't have an SSD in it, and it boots within 12 seconds. It's got all the stuff. It's got all the things I need. I just think if you've got an older computer like a Core 2 Duo or something, just install something on it. Debian, install CentOS, install Ubuntu.
But Nick, no, see, this is the problem. You can't just say just install something. The average user who's going to give Linux a shot needs to know, A, what is a good distribution that is likely to work out of the box for the average Windows user, A. B, when things don't go well, where does he or she go for support? Now, having said that, and I mean this with all sincerity and with all kindness, but we have a friend, Amnon, who is an absolute Linux genius. Mm-hmm. He is a fabulous guy. He is a great guy. He's the kind of guy you want to have as a friend. You ask him a question, and you might as well just turn off the speaker because you won't understand a word he says after that. It's just he knows the bowels of Linux, and the average user's not going to be able to go there.
Yeah.
What has to happen is which distribution and where do you go for problems? If, as Jim was saying earlier, if the sound card stops working, how do you fix it?
Okay, so if you're going to be using a computer like a Core 2 Duo, something that isn't, extremely old and has some power, I would say Ubuntu is the way to go. But if you're going to be running something on like a P4 laptop, Ubuntu is just too resource intensive. Just similar if you were going to try to run Windows 7 on a P4 laptop. So
I'm doing that.
Yeah, and is it slow?
It's as fast as XP.
So there you go. So if you're running something like a Core 2 Duo or up, I would say Ubuntu is the place to go because it's got the software install center and everything like that.
All right, Nick, for people who have heard this conversation and who are going to now go grab an old laptop, wipe out the hard drive, and try Linux as a result of this conversation, post a link in chat for what they should download and use.
Okay, hold on.
Well, first of all, they don't have to wipe and all that because you can go to, I know Ubuntu will do it. I'm sure
Keep
others
it simple,
will do it.
Amnon.
I am keeping it simple.
No, he is keeping it. I know exactly what he's going to say.
And you have a live CD. You can download it, run it. It doesn't do anything to the hard drive. Doesn't do anything to the computer. You can use it.
Right.
And if it works okay, then you can go ahead and wipe out. Or a lot of people install it alongside of Windows.
Yeah, that's what's great about like all of these Linux distros is when you're going to install them. If you've already got Windows 7 on there, it'll give you the option to either A, install Ubuntu with Windows 7, B, install or wipe the hard drive, then install Windows, or then install Ubuntu, or like C, just wipe the hard drive or do whatever. So you can run Windows and Ubuntu or whatever else all on the same computer, and it doesn't actually make you wipe the hard drive if you don't want to.
You guys just made 3 interesting comments in chat, and I'm going to call you on it and bring it out. I said which link. Nick says Ubuntu.com. Bruce says Linux Mint.
And that's where I was going to get to after that.
Andrew says, I do not look at Chrome operating system as Linux. It's a very controlled ecosystem, and it works. I understand Andrew's comment. However, the operating system is Linux, just as iOS is Linux in a very controlled environment. But it is still Linux or Unix. I think the Apple is a Unix flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But having said that, if I want the same experience that Bruce is having with his Chromebook, do I have to go buy this controlled operating system that is Chrome that Andrew's referring to, or can I get that by grabbing an old laptop here and installing Linux Mint? I mean, I don't know.
Yes, Andrew. Mike, answer Andrew's question about Android.
So is Android. Android is Linux. Do you consider it Linux? He says no. To me, if it's Linux, it's Linux. I don't know what the question is. It's like
that makes no sense. If it's Linux, it's Linux.
Is it a Linux desktop operating system? No.
Guys, I don't know. Would Chrome OS run on anything other than ARM?
That's a Bruce question. I have no clue.
Yeah, there are people who have installed Chrome OS on Intel type processors. The other thing, keep in mind that the Acer Chromebook is an Intel based processor, and when you install Ubuntu to sideload on that Chromebook, you have full access to all of the Linux programs. Okay. My limitation is not all Linux programs have been compiled for the ARM processor. But I posted a link to what I think is one of the best set of instructions from lifehacker.com on how to install Ubuntu on a Chromebook. And this is not a dual boot. They're actually running simultaneously at the same time.
Let me ask you this without going there. How would the average user that uses computers, that's not a techie, be able to, how would it help the average user? Would they get into it and understand it, or they will look and say, geez, forget it, I'm just staying with Windows?
The average user would be served just fine with a Chromebook. They don't need it.
No, not with the Chromebook. I'm talking about the instructions that you're talking about.
They're not for the faint-hearted, but I can tell you, I've done this twice. I've walked 3 or 4 other people through it, and without any problem. It's a whole lot simpler and easier than rooting and installing a custom ROM on your phone.
You know what, Amnon?
Right.
If these people are going to sit here and say, I don't understand these instructions, then stay with Windows, because you're clearly not willing to put the time and effort into getting this thing done. If you're going to look at these instructions and go, oh, these are too complicated, I don't even want to do it.
My point is that there's a lot of people that said, I don't like Windows. I don't want to use Windows. I really want to use Linux. But they are also practical people who have to use the computer for their daily work. If it's not easy for them to get into Linux and install it pretty easy, these are the people that are going to go back to the office and say, forget it, I tried it, it doesn't work. And it may be because of them not knowing.
And then these people need to stop complaining. You can't say, no, I don't want to use Windows, I don't want to use Windows, and then not put the effort into trying to use something else. I mean, that's I don't think that's valid. If you clearly don't want to use Windows, you can use Linux. You just have to, like Mike said before, there's a learning curve with everything. Like he was dealing with his MacBook. You have to put the time into it. If you're not going to put the time into it, then stay with Windows, because clearly you're not going to either A, like it, and then you're going to be telling everybody else, oh, this Linux thing's a piece of junk because you spent 5 minutes reading a forum post on it on Lifehacker and think, oh, this is too complicated, I just don't want to use it.
You know, it's really interesting. I do a podcast, okay, and I knew I was going to be crazy busy in Atlanta, so I recorded 4 episodes before I left, uploaded them to Google Drive. And then when I go downstairs, I go into the restaurant, I take out my little Chromebook and I open it up. It's instantly on. It opens up to the browser tab I left, which happened to have been TalkShoe. I fill out, I create the episode, you know, the date and the name and the title and stuff like that. And I click to get the file. It automatically opens up to Google Drive. I click on the file, upload it. I did that every morning and had it uploaded and done before the waiter brought my breakfast order. Just open it up, instantly on, updated the file, shut the lid, stuck it back in my bag. I mean, it was just, if I had done that on my laptop, you know, I'd have been halfway through my breakfast by the time it finished booting up.
Now, Mike, going back to your point, you said, what else, if somebody wants to get into this and they don't want to be dealing with something complicated, what's another alternative? And Bruce brought up Linux Mint. This runs a lot better on slower computers. This would run better on your... What?
You're saying Linux Mint runs better on slower computers.
Yeah, it doesn't have all the bloatware that Ubuntu does.
Okay,
so
but here's my confusion, and this is what really annoys me. Okay, that's a good link. This is what really annoys me and confuses me, because I'm a power Windows user. I mean, there are people who can run rings around me all day long, but I'm pretty good at it. But my question is, you posted first Ubuntu.com. Now you're posting LinuxMint.com, which is consistent with Bruce's recommendation. I get that, and I understand all that. But what was it that you said you're running on your notebook computer? What distribution or whatever?
Oh, I'm running. I installed a bunch of different things, and this is the one I ended up liking the best. It's called Crunchbang.
See? Now, stop right there. Okay. Do I want to install Crunchbang or do I want to install Linux Mint?
No, you don't want to install Crunchbang.
Why not?
Because if you told me to give you links or URLs for people that are trying to get into this. This does not have a software install center like Ubuntu, and I believe Linux Mint does. I installed this because I installed this for me so I could learn how to use Linux. I didn't install this for actually, getting things done. Yeah, it's great that I can talk on Skype and stuff like that, but I installed this so that I could figure out Linux because it's something I wanted to figure out, and I'm kind of forced to use it every day. So that is the reason I installed it. I didn't install it. If I needed usability, I would have installed Windows because it would have been a lot easier for me to get those things done. But I think it was a good experience that now I kind of understand how to.
All right, now we don't need to have any more guesses. And what do you think? And do you think that would work? Jason is here.
Oh,
what's up, y'all?
See,
hey,
I'm
Jason.
going to take Jason to task with what he just wrote in chat.
Okay.
And I don't mean this to be argumentative, but to try to resolve this for people who have the same attitude that I do. Jason said, install what you like. And I'm telling you that the average Windows user who has never used any distribution of Linux has no clue what he likes.
Right. That's why you should download 1, 2, 3, 4 and try them out, one after another, and play with it for a week. Install it, fire up a browser, configure your email client. And I mean, if you just take the time to learn how to install and use 2 or 3 applications per distro, you'll get, one, obviously more familiar with what you're doing and how it works, and 2, you'll eventually, come to realize that they're all, they're all. It's kind of hard to explain, but I mean they're all Linux. They're all the same, but there's just different ways that they have of doing things, installing things, and whatnot. And actually, for me, I always end up using the same window manager, which is your GNOME, KDE, Black Box, or what.
No, we don't
Windows.
know. These are things we don't know.
Oh, okay, all right, sorry. Okay, so in Linux, there's several different, like Ubuntu and Mint Linux. By default, they have what you call the window manager. That's the GUI that you get presented with when you log in, like your Windows. You've got your icons on the left hand side.
Windows Manager is the same as the Windows desktop, right?
Right, the desktop, yeah, and you've got your start button and you've got your menu items.
Okay.
Now in Linux, there's GNOME, which kind of sort of looks like that in Windows. You've got your start buttons. You may have a taskbar on the top. You may have it on the bottom. But you can put it on the top, you can put it on the bottom, you can have it not be there at all, you can remove your items, you can do whatever. That's GNOME, and it's more integrated with things like printers and networking and whatnot. So you have buttons that allow you to configure your desktop properties, your video settings, your screensaver, your desktop, your and all that stuff. That's your window manager. But there's, it's the ultimate in customization. You can if you don't like GNOME, fine, you can use KDE. You can configure KDE the way you like it. And if you don't like KDE, if you're like me, I like the absolute minimal. I don't like icons on my desktop. I have just a start menu. Or actually, I have a right-click menu. I can right-click and fire up an Xterm, my browser, my email client, or whatever. And I use a really small window manager called Ice Window Manager. And it allows me to do that, and I can modify what I want in that menu and what I don't want in the menu. And it's small and simple and fast, and it's customization the way I want it. And that's just the way it is with Linux. You've got so many different options that if you want all that stuff integrated together, you can run GNOME or KDE or what is it? That other one, Matt, M-A-T-T-E, however you pronounce it. There's, which is, I guess, the old GNOME 2, since people don't like GNOME 3. But, just, and they're so easy to install. You can install a Linux distro these days in like 20 minutes. It's, and it's pretty much, I don't want to say fully secure, but a lot more secure than any Windows XP or Windows 7 out of the box. So you can, try it without, the worry of getting hit with a virus by being, just started up in the first 10 minutes.
That's what I say is so secure even the user can't get in.
I think that's the thing that you were saying there, Dirtbag, is it's customizable. That's whereas with Windows, it's pretty much set unless you go for some kind of program that allows you to tweak it. With Linux, once you've got your head around it, you can install like a different desktop completely, so that it looks exactly as you want and has the facilities and features that you want. It's just getting your head around the fact that if you've been with Windows so long, to all of a sudden change, not know the name of any program, even a basic program like Notepad, that puts an awful lot of people off. Well, I only want to type a quick note. Which program do I open to do that? You've got no idea, and that puts so many people off because it's familiarity that they like. They know it's called Notepad. They know there's a paint program, but in Linux, where do I go for it? I don't even know where to click.
Here is what one of the most important comments were just made by Jim, support hero, and he says no average user is going to do that. It is, I got a computer and I want to use it. I don't want to be a developer. Give me something that I can turn on and go use. Right. The techie among us and the people that like to use computers and see what they do, yes, we will do this. But your average user, mom and pop, people that are in corporate America are not going to do it. And their IT department is not going to do it in order to give it to them. This is why that story about the French police converting all these to Linux is so important. It's something that they're going to take. They don't expect those 72,000 people to go and try and see what they like and what they don't like. they're going to convert their machines and give them an interface that I'll bet you will be almost no learning curve for them to keep on operating. And that's what it's going to take.
That's the point I made when you first brought the story up, is the fact that as long as they've got a desktop and they've got the familiar interface of whatever program it is that they use, because the majority of it's going to be database entry or programs that they're familiar with anyway, as long as it looks the same, doesn't matter what the operating system is. Because the program that they're using looks almost identical, or if it's just an Office-based program, fine, it looks like an Office-based program. So that's it.
It's just what happened to the Mac OS. I mean, they went from PowerBook or whatever they call it, what was that?
PowerPC.
PowerPC to Linux-based, really. And the users had no idea.
It was Unix.
But everything has a learning curve. And I reinforce what Nick said. If you don't want a learning curve, leave it alone. But if you're one of these people who writes MS and for Microsoft and use the $sign for the S, and you want to be a real geek about it, then leave it alone. Stick with what you got. That's what I say. We pick on the Apple guys only because it's fun to pick on them. It has nothing to do with Apple. No. Apple's an excellent system. It works extremely well. It has its place. There are even places in the market where it is the operating system of choice, such as audio and video production, for reasons other than the ones often touted by the users. Linux has its place in the server market. Windows servers work and they work well, but you really have to know what you're doing to maintain them and keep them up to date. The Linux servers, based on my experience, Brian may disagree with this, Linux servers are much lower maintenance than Windows servers. All that being said, it goes back to anything in life. If you're not willing to invest the time and the effort to make it work for you, then stick with what you got and quit bitching.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Linux machines may not have and again, I'm talking from a server side, may not have the maintenance problems that Windows have, but when it does require maintenance, it requires a lot of it right there, and you do it all in like 1 or 2 hours, and then it runs again for a year. But
do you agree with that, Jason?
Yeah, to a point.
You know how it is. You upgrade something, and they have a reason for changing where things are going, and suddenly something breaks, and you have to go and change, fix it, and it's just little things that are really may not be important, but for the average user to understand, this stopped working because now it's looking for it in this folder.
Right. Yeah. Actually, to that point, I'm busy converting my server over to my home server over to another physical server somewhere else, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and start using CentOS now for my server OS instead of Gentoo. And a problem that I've run into with GPG, for instance, and this has nothing to do per se with Linux, but just with GPG. When I'm used to running GPG -D to decrypt a file, it used to just ask me for my passphrase. I'd put it in, and it would decrypt the file for me. Now with on the CentOS 6 server, it's running GPG version 2, and it's and when I try to do that on the new version, it kicks out an error saying no, I can't do this. There's some file somewhere here that's missing, and come to find out that GPG version 2 requires that you run a GPG agent, which handles the password request, and then will once it's set up correctly, it will work the way I expected. But there's things like that just throw you for a loop in major versions where they kind of, for whatever reason, for good or bad, but yeah, you're right. There are things like that kind of throw you for a loop, and so I had to start up the agent to be able to run my GPG command and decrypt my GPG documents now.
Yeah, it's just something, it's something else to to think about, and instead of going and saying, "Oh, yeah, there's nothing, no maintenance." Yeah, it's very low maintenance. I mean, you look at the servers, and they've been up and running for a year or more than a year without having to be rebooted. That doesn't mean that when the time comes, you're not going to have a few hours to put into it to make sure that the new things work the way they're supposed to. So that was the thing, Mike. I just want to make sure that this is clear.
So what is clear then, if I understand you, is that any operating system is going to require maintenance, including Linux.
Oh yeah.
Because you said that when it breaks, it's going to take several hours. You've never, I don't think, Amnon, worked on a Microsoft server.
No, I have not. And the truth is, I mean, let the truth be known. I never worked on a Linux server either to fix a problem that was a problem. I always have either Jason or,
Sorry.
geez, a senior moment, or Ron.
Well, the point being,
and they know what they're doing, and something that I can spend hours trying to figure out and say, oh, it's because of this. I'm saying, God, how did you know?
Let me say this, because Jason set up a Gen 2 server for me in 2005.
Yeah.
Worked perfectly. It's absolutely impressive to watch Jason do his thing. If you're going to set up a server and use it for your business, you better know what you're doing. You better have someone who knows what he's doing.
Who knows what they're doing. Absolutely.
However, but here's my point. That is equally, if not more true, for Windows than it is for Linux, based on my limited experience. Just because Windows has a nice little looking GUI, that doesn't mean you know what all those things do. And
right.
You can get into trouble really quickly thinking that you know what you're doing in Windows when you find out you don't. Windows Server.
And this is why a lot of the problems that Windows had, or all the problems that we were aware of that Windows servers had, was not because they were real. They were real problems, but many of them were because there were people that said, "Oh, it looks just like my Windows desktop." So,
yep,
heck,
I must know
I'm
what
just going to run a server, and you run a server, and the problem, the main difference that I see between Linux or Unix and Windows, in Unix or Linux, all the ports are closed. Everything is closed. Now you're going to have to start opening what you need. In Windows Server, it was the other way around. Everything was open, so it'll work right away for whoever is installing it, and they didn't know what to close. So that opened a lot of security holes in it, that if there was somebody who knew what they were doing, they would have closed all these holes, and we wouldn't have heard about all these problems. There's a lot more to it, but in a nutshell.
We were talking about this yesterday, and it's something that I had forgotten, but whenever, at least on Windows Servers 2003, maybe 2008 as well, whenever you install the operating system, did you know that Internet Explorer is not able to connect to the Internet by default? That is, you have to allow Internet Explorer on the server to connect to the Internet.
No.
And the only reason is because it's unsafe.
Yeah, well.
And it'll ask you every time you connect. It'll pop up that challenge screen.
So what does that tell you? And I will tell you that people, we dog on the Apple guys, but listen, I'm no Microsoft defender. I've had the worst last 2 weeks I've had, and I'll relate it at this point so that you Mac guys and you Linux guys can gloat. You deserve it on this one. A friend of mine had a computer that was getting slower and slower. I fixed it. I had a problem with the should have known then, but it had a problem with the master boot record that I had to fix boot on it to get it to boot up, and then everything worked fine. However, when I gave the computer back to them after a couple of days, it got dog slow. So I got it back over here, and I observed that behavior. After a while, it would get really, really, really slow. And I tried everything I could. I was talking about it last week. I tried a new hard drive. I tried memory. I tried all sorts of things. I never could figure it out. Then, out of a lark, I turned it off, said to heck with it, built a new installation of Windows. Everything worked perfectly, no problems, no issues. Then, sometime over the last few days, for some reason, I looked at my internet usage on Time Warner. You can go to myservices.timewarnercable.com and find out how much bandwidth you've used. The most I think I've ever used in a month has been about 250 gigabytes. Last month, it was 360 or something like that. And so I went back and looked at the day-to-day breakdown and found out that something was really up. And I ran, out of curiosity, Amnon, I ran TDSS Killer on the problem computer, and sure enough, it had a rootkit. This rootkit was sitting there, sending out, doing something on my internet, off and on over a 2-week period, that consumed over 200 gigabytes of data on my home network over probably a week's time. And it was a rootkit. That whole thing was a rootkit. Now, when the guy from Microsoft was here, I said it then, I'll say it now. Microsoft ought to be kicked in a sensitive place for allowing rootkits to be able to be installed on their computers. There's just no excuse for that.
To begin with, they should not be able to be installed. I agree.
And in fact, on this computer, the guy has a network administrator who is very, very smart, very much understands stuff. I got rid of the rootkit, got everything, the computer working perfectly, and I told him, I said, Bob, you got to make a decision here. I said, if you want to go with a brand new installation, new image, I'll wipe the drive and make sure the master boot record is clear and everything. You want to go with a new image, or do you want to go with this cleaned up, repaired image? He said, nope, got to go with a new image. He said, I would never trust a repaired system that has been infected with a rootkit. And I read about this rootkit, and there are instances of where it has compromised and destroyed certain Windows files. And as a matter of curiosity, I went to my computer, right-clicked on it, went to Manage. Manage would not open. I could get to it other ways, but it had destroyed that shortcut on that. So at that point, I agreed with him that there was no reason to trust that. So when he installs that computer tomorrow, it will be like a brand new computer. He'll have to join the domain and install his programs, but he will have the equivalent of a brand new computer.
Nice.
Jim says there are thousands of Linux rootkits.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are.
Anybody who says that there is, like the Apple thing. Oh, that we don't get viruses. Oh, give it some time.
But here's the question. It's kind of like Linux has the benefit at the desktop level of the same benefit that Apple has, in that there's so few of them in use,
right, that
it's just not exciting for these rootkit developers to write them for 3% of the market.
And the thing is that there is a lot of them out there for Linux in general, but the thing is, it may affect your desktop because you're going to go and download this and download that. On the server, the reason you don't see them or they're so minimized is because somebody that knows what they're doing is doing it. The software is coming from known sources to begin with, and then it's left alone. It's not like you go and you add, oh, let's try this. Let's install this, see what it does. It's a server. It does it does its job, and it's there with the same software for a long time. So that's why you don't see it. If somebody is running a server and they try all kind of different things and go to download software from places that are questionable, or they don't know that they are questionable, but they're not official, then yes, you can get it. I mean, hey, I'm allowing you to come in. This is people asking, why am I getting viruses and I have an antivirus? Well, because it popped up and you told it to install. That's why.
Well, but there are some, correct me if I'm wrong, this I believe to be true, that there are some websites you can go to that if you have JavaScript enabled, that or a Java exploit, it can install it without you clicking on it.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a drive-by install.
And all you have to do is mistype a URL.
Yep.
Or the other thing that I'm sorry, the other thing I've seen is that they will bundle things with, this crapware or viruses with other, things that look legitimate, like, if you try to download, WinZip or something from a place that's not the actual maker of WinZip, it could come bundled with, who knows what, and you will not know it.
What do they call it? They inject stuff into it.
By the way, there's Image Burn, IMGBURN, which is an excellent program for burning ISOs to DVDs. I downloaded an updated version recently, and it had malware with it, and I got it from the official site. It took me a while to get rid of it.
You see, all these, computer. You don't need that because your DVD software that came with your DVD will do that for you.
Now, but not, what if it's an OEM? See, this is something I was thinking about a while ago, that in the old days, we used to have to lay out big bucks for operating systems and things like that. Now, when I get my computers, every one of my computers has a legal version of Windows 7 on it, or a legal version of Windows on it, because it's an OEM version. It's installed on from the factory. So that's solved a lot of issues and eliminated a lot of temptations to do things you don't want to do. But that being said, I had a question for the guys here. I went to linuxmint.com, and I have a choice of Linux Mint 15 KDE, Linux Mint 15 XFCE, Linux Mint 15, LMDE 201303, or Thanks.
Thanks. Never heard of that one.
So what do you do if you don't have this forum to ask?
I don't know. Well, my wife says, what does the average Windows user if they don't have a computer geek at home to solve all these nonsense problems that pop up with Windows?
Right.
So which do I download, Jason?
I'm trying to.
You're not the one to ask. You're the geek.
No, ask Nick. What did you download?
What? For what?
All right, Linux Mint 15 KDE, Linux Mint 15 XFCE, Linux Mint 15, LMDE 201303.
Where are you on their website?
Homepage.
On their home.
Oh, LMDE.
Where are you looking?
Cinnamon and Mate on top of Debian. Cool.
I don't know what you're talking about, guys.
Well, I don't see it. All I see is the Mint Box 2 is available, monthly newsletter. Where are you looking?
Those little 5 boxes underneath the main.
The image slider. No, just go to the download page.
All right, there's Cinnamon, no codecs, Mate, no codecs, KDE, XFCE.
Codec is out of business, aren't they?
Go down
and get
they are. Get Cinnamon.
Actually, they got sold to somebody, didn't they?
Go away, I'm not. What'd you say, Nick?
Get Cinnamon, either 32 or 64.
Cinnamon. That's the one I want, right?
I don't like cinnamon.
Yeah, I'd rather have strawberry.
Yeah.
All right. How do I choose? Why would I choose cinnamon over Mate?
Well, it depends what
Be careful, your Mate is right there.
What desktop do you want? Do you want cinnamon or desktop? See, Mike, you asked me before the easiest option. I gave it to you. Not you're questioning it now.
You never said cinnamon.
Yeah, make up your mind.
I want the jalapeno.
If you want, you can, Mike. If you want to look, you can clearly click on Cinnamon and Mate, and it will show you both what they look like.
Is this just a graphics thing?
It's the desktop. It's the Windows desktop. Yeah, that's what all it is.
So
changes how your desktop looks.
So the meat of it is the same?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a skin.
It's yeah. There you go. Exactly.
A theme, whatever you want to call it. Okay.
Yeah, to a point. Yes.
Yeah.
Graphical user interface is what you're looking for.
Ubuntu is Cinnamon. I believe. Yeah.
Is there any hot pepper?
Shut up, Pam.
All right. So Brian
Go back
says,
to your window.
Actually, I've never used the cinnamon. I don't know if that's the old GNOME 2 or what it is.
I like cinnamon. I've used it before.
So
Is it
Brian
the old
says
GNOME
if it's
2
an
or-
older computer, I go with XFCE.
Yeah, XFCE. I've used it. It's a window manager that looks like GNOME or KDE, but it's not as heavy and
Well, it's also very limited too. It's not doesn't look like a traditional Windows desktop. If you're looking for
And that's what I use on my Chromebook is XFCE.
yeah, depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for something that you can kind of already know what it looks like, I'd go Cinnamon or Mate because they're window like.
I hate
See,
that.
Brian in the chat is saying that is the lightweight
Yeah.
desktop.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, it doesn't suck up as much memory.
XFCE is the lightweight?
Apparently.
light one, yes.
Yes.
All
But
right,
it doesn't
now-
have all those bells and whistles that Mate and Cinnamon
Right.
have.
And
All
it's-
right,
and
now
it's-
here's the next question. Let's assume that I download XFCE and install it, and I
Okay.
say, "Wow, this is too simple. I want Cinnamon. Can't I just add that on top of XFCE?"
It would probably be better to just go down and re-download it than have
you
to.
could.
You could, but that's
probably do
complicated
a-
now.
Well, yeah, apt-get install Cinnamon or whatever, and then just restart the window manager, and it should give you an option for Cinnamon or XFCE. But I mean, it could be as simple as that, but maybe not. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, you should go and re-download it. That
So
if
we're having
if we're talking
a debate in chat, and we're not having a consensus of opinion.
I know.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, but Brian, the whole premise of this article, or the whole premise of this thing, was for the basic user, and the basic user is going to say this is too basic. And
Let's say that they did not say it's too basic, and they went with it, and they used it, and oh boy, that's great, that's easy. And 3, 4, 5 months later, they said, you know what, I want a little bit more. What do they have to do? Do they have to completely?
Well, now hold on.
Okay.
You said 4 or 5 months more. Have they learned Linux?
Yeah.
Because if they've learned Linux, then yes, it's easy to.
No. They've learned the desktop, not Linux.
Yeah, they
not
learn,
the same thing.
and they
Okay,
want
but
to
then-
get a different. They want to get something that's a little bit more.
Never open the terminal or whatever.
Do
you
they
call it.
want to?
Oh, they're
do they
doomed.
need to
Yeah, they're not getting
completely?
anything done.
Yeah, no, they have a graphical software installer. You
No,
can-
no,
Yeah,
no.
they do.
My question is, do they need to uninstall everything and install the new one,
no,
or can they
absolutely
add
not.
on to what they have?
Oh yeah, they can add on absolutely.
Okay.
Like you said, apt-get install Cinnamon.
So-
Should do it.
Brian
or
is saying that, and Brian knows his stuff here too. And Brian is saying that if don't let me put words in your mouth, Brian, but I think what you were saying in part of the discussion is that if I download and install XFCE, then decide that I want Cinnamon,
Yeah.
all I have to do is go to a terminal window and type in apt-get space install space Cinnamon. And then
Pretty-
that installs it as if I had downloaded Cinnamon
Okay.
initially. Is that what you're
Pretty
saying?
much.
That's
Yeah.
what I was at.
Yeah, but why would you do that?
That's not
Because-
the point.
Wants
Well,
to
no,
try a
no,
different
well,
window
yeah,
manager.
no. Well, it is because you're talking about the basic user. They've never opened terminal. They're not going to go in there and do an apt-get. That's not.
Nick,
Yeah.
listen to me. I mean, we're all friends here. We're not disagreeing. It's a valid discussion. Okay? I don't think anybody here is being argumentative or emotional about this. But here's what I'm trying to get to. I mean, we've always said that Computers 2K Now is a program for people who are not on the bleeding edge. We're not looking for the latest, greatest, newest nuance. All right? Here's my question. I am sitting here, and I mean this, think this through, and bear with me on this. Someone who's listening to the show today decides, all right, all this Linux talk, I'm going to try it out. I like the idea of free. I like the idea of what you guys are talking about. I went to the download links page. I see Cinnamon no codecs, Mate no codecs, KDE, XFCE, 32-bit, 64-bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are potential 12 links I can click on. After all this discussion, and you got to have this, and you can add that, and this is minimum, and this is like normal, the average person who is a Windows user who wants to experiment with Linux has no clue which one of those links to click on. So I'm
Right.
going to ask, again, let's qualify this. if you're going to use it for a desktop at home, you can immediately skip the no codec versions because you're going to want to use your computer with sound and video and things like that.
Well, wait a minute. How are they going to know what a codec is if they're an average, user and they don't know?
Well, it does say
that's exactly the argument. There's too many variables on who that person is and what they're trying to do.
Right. It says Cinnamon No Codecs, a version without multimedia support. So,
what does that mean?
Yeah. We can only go so far down there, Jason.
Yeah.
But so anyway, now we're down to Cinnamon, Mate, KDE, or XFCE, and what I think I'm hearing the guys in chat saying is you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Even if you pick the wrong one, you can go back and fix it.
This is why when I run into people, I don't get many people coming to me and say, hey, because you put Linux on my machine. But they come to me and say, I've got this old laptop. It still works. The software's all screwed up. I'd like to keep using it, but I can't buy a new version of software. What do I do? And that's when I say, okay, I either install Lubuntu or Ubuntu on it because they're very simple. There aren't many options. And once it's up and running, they don't care about any of that. They just want to use it as a desktop. They want to be able to use it and not get confused and not have to, because like Andrew was saying earlier, the ecosystem on Ubuntu for updates and all that is really well done. It will do automatic updates. It will do a lot of maintenance in the background. It's easy to adjust things.
But it's all about the key point, isn't it? It isn't really, you don't need a learning curve to a degree. If all you're going to use it as a social media, email, desktop, maybe play some music type thing, Ubuntu is going to do that for you.
Yes.
All right.
And if you want some more, it's easy to find.
For anyone still listening, I just made a choice. I just picked Linux Mint 15 XFCE 64-bit.
Nope,
because if I want to add Cinnamon, I can add it later. I'm going to download this. It's a 1 gigabyte file. I'm going to burn it to DVD, and we'll see how it goes if I get a chance to install it.
Okay.
Now, what about specials?
Yes.
Is it a 64-bit machine you're going to be running on?
Well,
yes.
That's okay.
The other thing is I think it's also a live CD, so you don't even have to install it to use it.
No, I want to install it because it doesn't run as fast off the live CD as it does.
Right.
Yeah, but you can look at the interface and you can see, hey, I like this or I don't like it.
Well, I don't care. I'm gonna like it.
But that
you've convinced yourself ahead of time, are you? I'm definitely going to like this, whether I like it or not. Oh, hang on,
I'm committed.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to like it no matter what.
Now I'm presented with 11 options from where to download it. I can't stand this.
Special.
I'm sure Steve would say use a mirror from the UK.
That's right.
You don't want to trust them.
You guys have to appreciate how much additional complexity went into getting the specials ready today.
Well, that's why we ask you to do it, because we want it done well and done right, and that's what you do.
The paper today had no paper ads, not one. Usually the good old standby Best Buy is always there. It was not there today.
All right.
So I had to go in and slave away in front of the screen and find... And they're making it harder to find the weekly ads. Some of them, they're buried in their menus. They used to have a little button on the top, weekly ad, and they don't do that anymore. So, all right.
Barley, get away from there. My dog's
all
trying
right, so starting with Best Buy, and Bruce did mention how they're offering a $50 gift card when you upgrade your phone. And if you want to get the iPhone 5C, which is being sold for $99, you can drop that price down to $50 with the gift card. So pretty good deal. And the 5C is based on the 5, which is a pretty darn good phone. It's not the same as the newer 5, but good phone. All right, Best Buy, 15.6-inch Toshiba AMD A6 touchscreen laptop for $399. They've got 8 gig Class 10 SDHC SD cards, $999, say $15. 13.3-inch Asus i5 touchscreen laptop for $599. 15.6-inch Asus Celeron laptop for $269. They have an HP 20-inch LED monitor for $89.99. That's $30 off. HP 21.5-inch IPS LED monitor for $129. Save $50. They've got a Western Digital 1 terabyte portable USB 3.0 hard drive for $74.99. That's 5 off. They've got a 16 gig PNY USB flash drive for $9.99. That's pretty consistent across all the different retailers today. PNY USB on sale. That's at Best Buy. At Office Depot, they've got an HP 11.6-inch AMD A4 touchscreen laptop for $399.99. That's $130 off. They've got the HP Envy Windows all-in-one printer with two-sided printing for $99.99. Save $30. I've got Lexar USB 3.0 flash drive. Now this is the deal of the day from a price perspective. These are USB 3.0 flash drives. 8 gig for $799, 16 gig for $12.69, 32 gig for $19.99, 64 gig for $40.29.
Wow.
I don't know where they come up with it. I guess it's a percentage of the regular price. But what a deal on USB 3.0 flash drives. They've got a Brother Mono laser with duplex for $109.99, save $40. They have a Brother printer scanner copier mono laser printer for $129.99, save $50. That is connected by both wired networking and USB, so keep that in mind. Although in most cases, having wired networking is totally acceptable. Microsoft Wireless Comfort Keyboard 5000. This is keyboard and mouse combo, $59, save $20. They've got the Seagate 2 terabyte desktop hard drive, USB for $109.99. All Western Digital drives are on sale on clearance, and that's all at Office Depot. At Office Max, they've got a 15.6-inch HP AMD E1. This is an entry-level dual-core laptop, $279.99. That's $100 off. They've got a Netgear DOCSIS 3.0 cable modem for $79.99, and this is an approved modem for Time Warner. It is the CG3000D, and they have two categories for supporting DOCSIS modems. It's the Light, Basic, Standard, Turbo, Extreme, Ultimate 50 service plans. They have a category for that, which this fits into. And they also have the Ultimate 75 and 100 service plans, which is a different modem. It still has a Motorola, Netgear, Zoom, Zyxel. But keep that in mind. You must have one, or should have one, that is supported by Time Warner in order for them to support it. This is supported. So,
right,
go ahead. What?
As Mike would do, is that?
Yeah. 11.6-inch Samsung Chromebook with the Xenos 5 processor, $249. 15.6-inch HP i3 laptop for $399, save $100. HP Slate 7 Android tablet, $139.99, save $30. 11.6-inch Acer AMD A4 touchscreen laptop for $349. Now, this is great. The prices of the touchscreens have really dropped. Save $100. They've got a HP i3 15.6-inch laptop, $479. They have an i5 for $579. Western Digital 2 terabyte home network attached storage drive. This connects directly to your home network and allows you to access and have essentially a network drive. Shows up as looks like a local drive in your machine, but you can copy from this drive, share files. $129.99 for the 2 terabyte version. Got an HP Envy 4500 all-in-one printer scanner copier with two-sided printing for $79, save $20. And they have a Brother laser printer scanner fax copier with Ethernet connectivity and USB connectivity for $149.99, save $50. That's at Office Max. At Staples, they've got a PNY 16 gig flash drive for $9.99, save $10. 15.6-inch Toshiba i5 laptop, $549.99. For just $50 more, you can get the Lenovo 15.6-inch i5 touchscreen laptop, $599.99, save $100. They've got an HP AMD A6 desktop for $379.99, save $100. Got an Acer 20-inch LED monitor for $89, save $40. An AOC 24-inch LED monitor for $139.99, save $40. I got Seagate Backup Plus USB hard drives, 2 terabyte version for $99.99, 3 terabytes for $129.99, 4 terabytes for $179.99. I've got a Brother wireless mono laser with 2-sided duplex printing, $109.99, save $40. A Brother wireless inkjet printer scanner fax copier with 2-sided printing, and this is the printer deal of the day, $69.99, save $30. They have an APC 700 VA UPS battery backup system, $39.99, save $20. And I have an actual favorite product of mine is the Plantronics Voyager Legend Bluetooth headset for $79.99. That's $20 off the regular price. And finally, Logitech backlit keyboard. This is USB connected for $59.99, save $20, and that's all at Staples. And that is it. I actually looked at Tiger Direct, and I didn't see anything of special note.
Oh, well.
They didn't have a paper ad. I looked through their ad. It was smaller than normal. So I guess they didn't have maybe they got all the folks got furloughed because they were deemed.
Thank you, Spence.
Of special note, the Note 3 came out Friday. If you're looking for a special note.
Hey, Jason?
Yeah, man.
You still secured where you are?
Negative.
Uh-oh. Really?
Yep.
Effective when?
Tuesday. Oh, well, my last day is the 18th officially.
Oh, come on.
That sucks.
Yep. Well, not really, because I've been dreading the group I was in for the last year anyway. I've been looking, so I was kind of glad to get the package. So.
Oh, man. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
Hey, Eric.
Hi, how are you this morning?
Fine, how are you?
Good, good. Question over the media streamers. Can you tell me, are you familiar with the Miracast and Google Chromecast and what the difference between the two is?
I have a Chromecast. I don't ever heard about a Miracast. Anybody else?
Oh, you've got the Chromecast?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
So, Miracast is... Let's see.
It's something exclusive to the Android operating system.
Yeah.
That you basically... I think it's similar to the Apple, is it AirPlay that they have?
The Chromecast is not tied to the Android. I mean,
go ahead.
You can use an iPad to cast.
Yeah, so the Chromecast isn't tied to any device. The Chromecast is something that's always idling. You plug it into your TV, and it's always there and ready to take either a YouTube video, a web browser page, Netflix, Hulu, Pandora, and the Miracast is it's a screencast device. So if you want to take your Android screen and put it on your TV, that's what the Miracast is for.
So you're talking about like what the Chromecast does with a Cast This tab?
Yeah, kind of, except for the Miracast is your full tablet, unlike the Chromecast, which is only specific apps.
Okay.
So if you just want to watch YouTube on your TV, you can. I think the Chromecast is the way to go. But if you want to share your whole tablet so you can either demo things or display things for other people, the Miracast is the way to go.
Okay. One other question. For those that have been using the Chromecast, have you used the Roku box previously, and are they two totally different experiences, or would you say if you have one, you shouldn't need the other?
You need both. The Roku has got all of those apps built in, and it's its own separate device. So you can have a Roku without having a smartphone or tablet attached, and it will, it's got all the apps like YouTube, like Netflix, all built onto it. Unlike the Chromecast, which is just basically this idle device that you have to send stuff to. So the Roku the Chromecast needs an external device like a phone, like a tablet, like a computer to stream stuff. As with the Roku, you just plug it in your TV, and then it's got its own operating system and streams stuff from itself.
Your Roku is more like a DVD
Apple
player.
TV.
Whatever DVDs you have, you can play, versus having a radio hooked that you can just switch and wherever you are, you can listen to.
Okay, I know that Chromecast is slowly adding on more content. I think they just added on Hulu Plus this past week. And now the other thing is, does it use up a lot of resources on your PC or whatever device that you're casting?
No.
It actually doesn't cast from your PC. You control it with your PC, but it's casting directly to the internet from the internet.
Yeah, that's the advantage, is that it does not, the media stream is not through your PC or device. It's direct to you're just directing what's played and access to the apps using your device.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Nick,
Yeah, that's the other
you
thing.
wanted to...
I brought my Chromecast when I went to that Catalyst conference in Atlanta, and after I finished setting up my hotspot there, I set up my Chromecast to work there. And if I wanted to, like during breaks when people were just walking around, I was Chromecasting a playlist that I had created on YouTube with some really nice HD quality music videos on that Vizio. It was nice.
What does the fox say?
Hey,
Oh, boy.
seen that yet? Sorry, it made me cough. It's very funny. You got to watch What Does the Fox Say.
Hey,
That's
Eric,
the fox calling
Yes.
through narrow face.
where are you calling from?
I'm actually down in Florida this week. I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So, but I'm back and forth between Florida and Raleigh.
Okay.
Isn't that near Boca?
South of Boca.
Boca.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I'll be in St.
Okay.
Clearwater
Well,
at 4.
Thanks for
You're welcome.
for the advice. Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bruce, I just posted a link in chat I was looking, didn't you say you bought yours from Best Buy, your Chromebook?
Ed?
And I just did a search on Best Buy, and the only one they have listed for Chromebook that I can see is refurbished.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, my local Best Buy had several of these in stock, so it may be that they're currently out of stock in the store. I don't know. But let me just check my own store here locally.
Yeah, is it discontinued?
No.
No.
$179 for a portable computer is
there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
refurbished.
the only thing I
Exactly.
don't like about refurbished, Amnon, is I bet it does not include a new battery.
Yeah. And something on a portable machine like this, you want a new battery.
Yeah, there's no store within 50-mile radius of my zip code that has them in stock. I'm telling you, it's just they're coming out. You may want to wait and Haswell processor one, but gosh, I like the form factor and the battery life of this little Samsung Series 3. It just works so well for me.
Nick, you were going to say?
I mean, I when Bruce first got his Chromebook, I looked at it, and I just had a hard time deciding if this was something I wanted to spend $300 on. I don't know. I feel like everybody else seems to just. I don't know. I can't see myself spending $300 on a device like this.
Well,
What
it's
would you
$250, and for me, it takes the place of a tablet. I mean, I mentioned this earlier in the chat. I'll be in conference rooms several times for meetings this week, and there'll be people in there that'll have their iPads for their little Bluetooth keyboard covers. that once you put all that together, the form factor is the same as, my Samsung, but I have so much more functionality than, I just pop open the Samsung. It's instant on just like their iPads are, but I can do so much more on my Samsung. So I don't have a tablet. I've got a Samsung Galaxy Note 2. I've got my business laptop, the Dell Latitude, which I wish I didn't even have to use, and the Chromebook. And it's just, to me, that combination works out best. For different people, it's going to take a different combination.
Now, do you believe you've taken the full advantage of the Chromecast because of your work you were forced to travel a lot?
You're talking about the Chromecast or the Chromebook?
The Chromebook.
Well, yeah, the Chromebook is great for traveling. The main reasons I wouldn't go with just my Chromebook this time is one of the IT guys walked behind my little cubicle that I use when I'm at the home office, and he'd say, "What's that? Why are you? Where's your Latitude? Why are you connected to our network with that?"
Yeah,
Okay,
I think. Go ahead.
No, I was going to change. So go ahead.
I was just gonna. I think that it really does have to do with the portability seat. For me, I don't travel enough where I feel like having a device like this is useful or necessary. But I guess, like Bruce said, it just depends on you. It
would also be useful in school, coffee shop, McDonald's, Bob Evans, Denny's, all the places that have free Wi-Fi. It's just so incredibly thin and lightweight. And it's just for at least for right now, it just seems to be indestructible for me. And I'm running the beta version right now because there's some, you got stable, beta, and developer, and these, whichever one you decide on, you get automatic updates as they're released. You can go back and forth from either one of those three. What were you going to say, Mike?
I went back to BestBuy.com and put in Chromebook instead of Samsung Chromebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it brought up 7 models. So apparently your model per se is discontinued, and there are other models that appear to be identical to it. Because it's 11.6 Chromebook, 2 gig memory, 16 gigs solid state drive. It's just a different SKU, I guess, is what I'm saying. Here's one that is new for $199. Another one that is 2 gig memory, 16 solid state, flash silver. One's $199. Another one is $249. And then they have models by Acer, HP, and Google. You can get the Google 12.85 Chromebook Pixel with 4 gig of memory and a 32 gigabyte solid state drive for $1,300.
That's an i5 processor. When I go to BestBuy.com and type in Chromebook in the search, it comes to a page that is the Chromebook right for you, and the picture right on the front is my Samsung, and the top listing is the 11.6 inch Chromebook that I have for $249.
Do you show a new version of it or just the refurbished one?
No, I'm looking at the. I haven't tried to shop for yet, but when I click on it, it just shows.
Because the first one listed on mine is yours, the one you said was yours, and it's $179 refurbished, and then there's a new. No, that's Acer below it. Then there's 2 down. XE303 C12 A01. Yeah, okay. So your new one is the third one down on mine for $249.
Right.
That makes sense. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now here.
Phew.
Makes sense.
Bluetooth 3.0. I got a little Bluetooth mouse that I use with mine. I've paired a Bluetooth mouse, a Bluetooth headset. It works great.
When will the Haswell processor version be available?
Within this month. HP is coming out with a 14-inch one with Haswell processor.
There was a question in chat about offline mode on the Chromebook. What do you get in offline mode?
Well, there are more and more offline apps. If you go to the Chrome Web Store, you find a. In fact, let me see. There's a whole new category up on the Chrome Web Store. I'll share my screen here. And one of the things, come on.
Yeah, looks like your connection is having some issues because you would get very pixelated.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. But anyway, there's a whole new section. If you go to the Chrome Web Store on the left, you'll see For Your Desktop, and it's got New by it. So there's a lot of desktop apps that run inside the browser. And then you'll see a category called Offline Apps. And if you're, I hope I'm not too pixelated, but you see the apps. Pardon me?
You are.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Let me just talk you through it. There's a Google Calendar offline app. There's a Google Drive offline app, a Google Keep offline app. Trying to look at the ones I've got installed. There's a Gmail offline app. There's a Kindle Cloud Reader offline app, a Pocket offline app. I'm just talking through the ones I've got installed. AnyDo is an offline app. So, I can Google Drive and Google Documents while Cat jumps on screen there. Hello, kitty. So there's a lot of things that I can do offline, and more all the time. But, so.
All right. How about switching? Google might have big plans to wire America with high-speed broadband. But at least one carrier isn't willing to let Google Fiber have a free run. Who do you think they are, Mike?
Town of Cary.
AT&T has announced that it will deploy a 100% fiber network in Austin, Texas, capable of delivering speeds of up to 1 gigabyte per second. That location is
so stupid.
Auspicious, given how Google's already decided to make Austin the next city to receive Google's fiber. Whereas Google plans on connecting Austin households to its network in the mid-2014, however, AT&T promises to start deploying its own high-speed solution in December. But there's a few significant catches. First, AT&T service will initially roll out to tens of thousands of customer locations throughout Austin, according to a press release, which is a mere fraction of the city's 842,000 residents. Second, AT&T has offered no roadmap for expanding beyond that initial base. And third, despite promises that the service will roll out in December, the carrier has yet to choose the initial neighborhoods for its expansion. Could this
You're asking
be a
them
case?
to do too much.
What?
You're asking them for too much information.
Yeah, it says, could this be a case of carrier freaking out about a new company's potential to disrupt its long-time business?
So what we have here is a situation where people in Austin are going to be able to choose from two fiber providers who are going to have to cut the cost so low that they'll both lose money, instead of the second one deciding to come into a community like Raleigh-Cary, where they would not have any competition and they could own the market. That's logical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big E wants to know if someone can recommend a free audio streaming recorder for his Galaxy phone. And then Bruce says streaming or recording.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, for streaming...
he wants to record from a streaming...
Stream. Yeah.
He doesn't want to stream. I guess he wants to record a stream.
How would you do that?
Capturing a live stream audio on your Galaxy phone. I'm not sure. If he's talking about streaming, I was going to suggest a Spreaker. You can live stream, using Spreaker. But as far as capturing the audio, I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, Big E, what are you trying to capture?
He's trying to listen to a stream and record it at the same time, I believe.
I would say do it on your desktop instead and then transfer it to your phone.
And, but there's really no reason to record it because any good stream is recorded anyway, and you can go later and listen to it.
Amnon, you sounded like a tech support person there for a moment. You don't tell the customer they don't need to do what they want to do.
You can buy the $3,000 hardware that...
He didn't say cost was an object. He just wants to know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like to simplify things.
He's trying to capture a live stream for later listening.
Like
Hubie.
Yeah, Brian say Hubie. What's Hubie? Hubie.
Love the tape on that reel-to-reel recorder that Spencer was showing.
Yeah, it's in a box with packing material taped around it.
What is Hubie?
What in the world? Oh, Spencer's just...
Wait, that's weird.
I'm looking and saying, what is he reproducing?
I switched screens. I realized I did that. I switched to screen capture. So I doubled up on Bruce.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly, that's it. A reel-to-reel. You need to get a cart. We don't know, Uncle Guy.
Have a look on Google.
Oh, very
there's
interesting.
a few there listed as free.
The what? I'm sorry.
Have a look. Type it into Google. There's quite a few there listed as free.
Yeah, Tim's saying TuneIn Radio will allow you to record any radio station on the app. That's interesting. So
Hubie does video, and Radio Rip is for audio, according to Brian.
Okay.
So hopefully that's useful information.
Let's see what else. Microsoft's one-time chief privacy advisor, Casper.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
You saw it?
Yeah.
Casper
but the title is
Bowden
amazing.
has come out with a vote of no confidence in the company's long-term privacy measures and ability of interest to secure user data in the wake of NSA's PRISM program. From 2002 to 2011, Bowden was in charge of privacy at Microsoft and oversaw the company's efforts in that area in more than 40 countries, but claims to have been unaware of the PRISM program's existence while he worked at the company. In the 2 years since leaving Microsoft, Bowden has ceased carrying a cell phone and become a staunch open source user, claiming that he no longer trusts a program unless he can see the source. Yeah.
You have to write it yourself. That's all. Just write your own apps.
Yeah, but, that's very interesting. What he should do is he should have a blog that will tell people which programs are actually flawed, because how many people do you know? Well, we know a lot of them, yeah. But, the average user out there, what is he going to glean out of looking at the source code? Now, since we're getting close to 12, I guess I'll go through these quick. We all do it. Place our phones down on the desk next to the keyboard. This might not be such a good idea if you want to keep your work to yourself. A team of researchers for MIT and the Georgia Institute of Technology have provided proof of concept for logging keystrokes using nothing but the sensors inside a smartphone. An iPhone 4, to be precise, as the iPhone 3GS was not up to it. A pair of neural networks were trained to recognize which keys were being pressed and that's on the keyboard that you're using on the computer, based on the vibration, and was remarkably good at it for such a small device. There have been systems that read the keys by listening, but this is the first time it can hide in the mobile phone malware. You just put the phone on the disk, and just by the vibration of the keys that you are typing on the keyboard, it knows what you're doing. What are you saying, Jason?
Oh, I was trying to figure out what you meant. So your phone is recording the keystrokes that's happening on your computer keyboard.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just by the vibrations.
Neat.
So the next thing to do is to get a foam block to put your phone on the table. And I don't know that
the safest way of doing
work.
it now is to put it on go and put it on the dining room table whilst you're typing in the living room.
We're talking about doing it at work too. Hey boss, where's the dining room table? Okay, now here's something that we always said that is not so bad to begin with. Yes, it's bad, but not too bad. The London School of Economics has published a new study which shows that the claims about digital downloading killing music and movies are overblown. In fact, there is new evidence to indicate that it actually generates more income in certain cases. While it acknowledges that sales have stagnated in recent years, the report points out that the overall revenue of the music industry in 2011 was almost $60 billion US, and in 2012, worldwide sales of recorded music increased for the first time since 1999, with 34% of revenues for that year coming from digital channels such as streaming and downloads. The music industry may be stagnating, but the drastic decline in revenues warned of by the lobby associations of record labels is not in evidence. The report says that the growing use of streaming, cloud computing, so-called digital lockers that facilitate the sharing of content, and sites that offer a mix of free and paid methods of getting content will, the study predicts, spur the entertainment industry to shift their focus from pursuing illegal downloading to creating more legal avenues for getting content online. I mean, this is not new, but it's a new study that came out of the London School of Economics. What do you say, Steve?
The same as the vast majority of any other independent reports that come out. It completely debunks the entertainment industry's own, paid for in-house surveys and reports and investigations and things. I mean, it blows it out of the water. If you look at was it $6 billion? I think you were saying about revenue.
Yeah.
If you look at the industry's reports that are coming in, and they're saying that it's decimating the music industry, and it's yes, fine, the music industry is changing, and the way things used to be, and the way they used to make their money, and where the money from the various different angles of the music industry came in, are completely different nowadays. There's an awful lot more people streaming music through all the streaming apps that are out there now. Physical sales of music, they're blown out of the water. There's nothing like there used to be, and there never is going to be anymore, because people, they're buying individual tracks. They're not buying albums anymore. They aren't buying shiny discs. What gets me with a lot of these reports, with the figures that they quote, and the losses to their industry and to jobs and everything else, is what they lump in with those figures. For instance, they class the entertainment industry as restaurants and cooks and food suppliers. If you break down and look at the figures that they're also, they're quoting as being, well, these are the people we're including, or these are the businesses related to the entertainment industry that we've included in this survey, there's nothing to do with it at all. Absolutely nothing to do with it. I mean, you would take, I would look at the recording industry, for instance. I mean, that's a separate part from the music industry. Music industry, they like to call us consumers. Well, in my view, if you consume something, that's it. You've eaten it. It's gone. We aren't consumers of entertainment. We're viewers or we're listeners to entertainment. We don't consume it because, say you consume a sandwich, that's it. It's gone. Maybe a few crumbs might be left over, but it's wrong to call it consumers. And the way that they're manipulating and bringing in language that doesn't really associate itself with what they're talking about to manipulate and change the way people perceive and look at the various aspects of the dying industry that is the entertainment industry, in order to fog the truth. I think it's just unbelievable that they're allowed to get away with it, and the stupid politicians believe everything they say, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, because they don't know.
It's insane. Well, no, we've got over here. We've got the Digital Economy Act, I think it's called, DEA, which was rushed through Parliament without virtually no debate whatsoever. We've had a renowned technology professor look at the DEA and give his recommendations. I can't remember his name, otherwise I'd quote it. And basically it said that the DEA isn't going to do anything to improve the situation for the legacy industries. But the government is still listening to the legacy industries, and we know why, because of the corruption and the lobbying that goes on. Lobbying, I mean, just call lobbying bribery, lobbying. That's exactly the same word, basically. And they don't listen to the general public. Instead of listening to the general public and getting an independent survey of what us as shareholders in entertainment, because if we don't buy the entertainment, there's pointless they're making it because no one's going to put any money into getting it. But the public don't count anymore. It's all about making money. The same with so many other different industries now. It's about making money and ignoring us general people on the street, which just makes me feel really sad.
Making a sad face now?
Very sad face,
okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they lump the restaurant industry in there because a lot of restaurants play music and they have to pay, royalties or whatever to be able to play that music and whatnot.
Oh no, that's because you've got the restaurant industries, for instance, because they have to go out to eat, and they have to take out the politicians in the restaurants in order to bribe them to. The restaurants that they're taking into account, people on movie sets and maybe in recording studios, that somebody orders a pizza in. Well, that's part and parcel of the recording industry now, because a pizza delivery guy delivered a pizza. That means we need to include all pizza delivery places now because they helped us with the making of this album. Because without them delivering a pizza to us, we wouldn't have been able to do it. That's their mentality. Mm. And we're supposed to believe this nonsensical, stupid rubbish.
That's what they're hoping.
No, it's wrong, isn't it? We need to go out and slap some legs.
Slap more than that.
Easy now.
I was trying to keep it polite as it's a family show.
All right, well, I just wanted to mention a couple of things here before we sign off. Nick.
Yes.
Nick is the proud owner of CraigDigitalDesigns.com. Nick does Roku apps, website development. Nick even does hosting now.
Ooh.
What else?
That's about it. Just WordPress, Roku apps, and hosting of your websites and stuff.
Gosh.
Yep, he is a regular entrepreneur,
Cool.
businessman.
Good on you.
And probably in a few months, he's even going to have a driver's license.
In a few weeks, probably.
Oh, a few weeks, okay.
Does he need any Linux sysadmins?
No,
not right now.
Darn. Okay.
He's doing it on somebody else's server.
Yeah, I'm reselling.
So he doesn't have to.
Yeah, I'd have not a clue how to start something up like that.
I would have a recommendation for you, Nick. And I don't mean
Thank
any
you.
offense, but get a spell checker.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Jesus.
I said nothing.
If you'd like
nothing.
a few pointers, then drop me a line. You know how to get hold of me, and I'll point you in a couple of directions.
All right. I tipped up a lot of this at night.
I know we're not all perfect, but there's just a couple that jumped out at me. Like, oh, no, he doesn't want that. He's starting out. He wants it to be just right.
Yep.
None of us are perfect, mate. Don't worry about it.
I'm
For
the most
yourself,
perfect
Steve.
person ever. I'm perfect.
It's the people that think they are perfect that piss off the people of us that really are.
Yeah, the
there you
ones
go.
that we all have a problem with, yeah. The ones they think they can do no wrong.
All right, 12:01. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Nick, Jason, Steve, thank you guys. Spence,
Thank you.
Mike,
No problem.
good morning, good afternoon. Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2k.com. Tonight at 8 o'clock, it's there may not be a show, as a matter of fact. I need to check. But normally it will be Carrie's Psychic Cafe. She's in Salem, Massachusetts.
Ooh.
And tomorrow morning it's Health In and Breaking Free. You'll hear it right there. Bye, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amna Nissan, Sundays, 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays, 8 till 9 p.m. Health In, Debbie Bruck, Mondays, 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays, 1 till 2 p.m. Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, the second and fourth Wednesday of each month from 7:30 till 8:30 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays, 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.